So Justin Haley is a Cup Series winner, and Spire Motorsports has more wins this season than Stuart Haas, Chip Ganassi, and Roush Racing combined. Yep, that really happened. Let's talk about it on this edition of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
Green flag, green flag. I'll roll. He's flipping me out. Ah! Hey, yeah, boy! How about that? They cut it. He the wall. He threw it off the track. Baby, that's how you do it. Get that second flag, son. Yeah, baby, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, Jake. We are allowed to talk now, as we have you
Oh,
on,
perfect.
man. The one and only Jake Baskinger. How's it going, man?
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, so I was saying before the show went live, the podcast has set a brand new record. We have the tallest guy in the entire community in Eric Estep, and now we have the shortest guy. Tell the chat how tall you are.
I am 5'4".
Yes, he's a short little thing, man. Like,
We-
no,
we
I'm not
are-
exaggerating.
We are definitely, when we're all in Bristol, getting a picture of him and Eric side by side. That's all
Oh,
I got
yeah.
to say on that.
Yeah,
We better.
Yeah, it is
That's going to be
absolutely
amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. So Danny B is going to be running a little bit late. Eric Estep will be back on the podcast next week. He was out at the Slinger Nationals the Slinger Nationals, right? That's how you say it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just making sure. He was out there last night and watched a certain someone win. So we'll talk about that later on in the show. But let's kick it off with some of the action at Daytona. So the Coke Zero Sugar 400 happened. Honestly, to me, I'm just going to keep it brief. It was one of the best super speedway races I have seen in a very long time. Ton of passing, ton of packs. I know a few of us were a little bit skeptical on what was going to happen in the race, but they definitely had this package right for the super speedway tracks. I mean, the speeds were as high as 205, 206 miles an hour. And also, we had the big one too, and then we had some controversy towards the end there. So, Jarrett, you want to elaborate on that a little bit? What were your thoughts on this race?
Well, mine, it's like, for me, this race was kind of like Jekyll and Hyde in a way, where there was a ton of good, and there was also some bad. Especially the first stage, I think showed the remnants that we've had of last year's plate racing. All the manufacturers got to stick together. I didn't like that personally. I especially was very skeptical on asking is Brad Keselowski going to spin out a Ford if he's in front? I think the answer was as much as he could.
Don't lift.
As much as he could. Yeah, never lift. So the first stage wasn't a fan of. From the start of the second on, for the most part, was, like you said, great. I mean, it was for a lot of younger fans who've asked, is this the type of racing we had in the mid 2000s that everyone keeps blabbering on about? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like we have this big chat that we're all in. We talk to each other during the race, all the YouTubers, and Dale Reynolds had basically put it this way: is like, this is exactly the same racing that we used to have back then. It's just 20 miles an hour faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it. The finish, leaves a bad taste in your mouth, but I don't think that takes away from how great the racing was. That kind of irritated me. But the racing itself, I enjoyed it. I got to watch it with my brother. We were freaking out. My brother was just like a lap before the wreck. It's like, they're going to crash. Like, they're going to crash. There's no way they're not going to. And then, lo and behold, we have what we had, pretty much ended the race. But if you can't tell, I loved it. The first stage just took a little bit away from it for me. And so I'm going to give it overall an 8 out of 10. Everything from the second stage on 10.
I have to give it a freaking 9, man. I mean, just a ton of action right from the get-go. I mean, well, you know what? I take that back. The first stage was, pretty boring there, with the whole, manufacturer wars and stuff. And I'm like, come on, this isn't F1, guys. But I mean, I sort of understand why, these guys do that, why they do what they do. But I don't know, drivers like Junior, Gordon, Edwards, those guys probably wouldn't do that today. Wouldn't you say, Jarrett?
Oh, no, I don't think they would for a second. I think that at the most that they'd stick with teams. You saw it with Hendrick sticking together. But I think that if you have older, experienced drivers that know the draft better than a lot of these young guys, I don't think you have anything close to what we were seeing in the first stage.
Right on. And also a really quick chat. I am going to read super chats at the top of the hour. So just be patient on that. We also had like a ton of miscues in this race as well. Freaking Ricky Stenhouse, man, just being doing typical Ricky Stenhouse Jr. things. Tries to block, and Kurt Busch wasn't having any of it. And remember, these two got they wrecked each other in the Daytona 500. So I think Kurt Busch thought better of it, to give him any sort of room or any sort of leeway. And Stenhouse, spins. Then he comes back, and then Stenhouse is involved in the big one. So his chase chances his playoff chances are pretty much over with. You also saw some superb runs. William Byron, really the Hendrick Motorsports stable as a whole, really stepped up their game here. And Keselowski, unfortunately, in the practice sessions, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, man. Don't lift. Well, Kevin Harvick certainly didn't lift, and he put you in the wall there. So, yeah, sucks to suck. But Jake, what were your thoughts on the race?
So I got a little bit of a story about this race. Going into that day, I knew that the race got rained out and everything, so I was just gonna go like, oh, okay. And I was like looking at the weather the entire day, and I was going like, okay, they're probably not gonna be getting started till 1. I could go up to Athens, Georgia, which is like an hour and a half away, move out of my apartment, and then be back in time to watch the race. Well, the race got started at 1. I missed the entire thing, and right when I got home, I was like, what's happening? What's happening? And everybody's going, it's raining right now. They haven't called it yet. I'm like, okay, cool. I was gonna watch the broadcast. I had it recorded. Started watching it, and immediately my Twitter just started blowing up saying Justin Haley won. I'm like sitting there like, that's a way to spoil this race for me.
No, let me tell you, man. This victory has to be one of the funniest in NASCAR history. Justin Haley was running 27th right before the big one, and he comes out on top. And I think he's another winner this season, the second to not lead a single lap. Remember Brett Moffitt? He won the truck race.
He technically got a 1 lap based on Racing Reference because they went across the start finish line. But yeah, he did not lead a green flag or yellow flag lap. Really, he basically led the lap that they had to go under red.
Yeah, okay, there we go then. Yeah, he led 1 lap at least, I guess. But and another thing too is at first I was on NASCAR's case again, like, oh, Kurt Busch went down and you guys had something, like you guys said something else. Why'd you guys do that? But then Matt McCall had pretty much made that call to come down pit road, and that must suck, man. You're out front. And then you unfortunately give up the race win. I mean, it's not his fault though. Like he didn't know that NASCAR was going to call that. And then also Landon Castle gave up a top 2 finish there. Like he could have even won the race if he stayed out. Landon Castle and Starcom Racing could have won a race here. So like this whole thing was
and
crazy.
Even Kurt Busch, like I was so mad when I saw him pit because like the lap after they just told him go on the pit road. I'm like sitting there like, Kurt, you could have won this thing. That was not really a smart move. I knew it had to be done. They had the pit. It was obvious, but I guess they thought the race was going to go green, but for some reason just go in pit.
Yeah, it is what it is, man, unfortunately. But so I guess this brings up the other question. A lot of fans just confuse me. Like, I'm going to be honest here because fans they're always looking for some sort of parity and in sports, whether it's the NBA, NFL, or even NASCAR as well, and they want some underdog victories here. Well, you got yours in Justin Haley, got his first career win at the age of 20 for freaking Spire Motorsports of all teams in his 3rd career start. You got so you have another underdog win. And all I see is just, oh, you guys didn't deserve it. You guys didn't deserve it. I even saw fans, mistakenly, like they were even saying he's wasting a playoff spot. Justin Haley's not eligible for the playoffs in the Cup Series, in case you didn't know. Like, he runs the Xfinity Series full time. He's having a pretty decent season there. So the question is, did Justin Haley deserve this win? Jarrett, I know your answer already.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the field. He had a strategy. I mean, he had the exact same strategy that has won Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, Tony Stewart, you name it. Virtually every plate driver that's won a race that's multiple races at Talladega or Daytona who's not an Earnhardt has won with that strategy. I don't see what the problem is because he's a lower funded guy compared to a Hendrick guy doing it, but I guess there's a difference. I do understand, with Kurt Busch pitting, with all this stuff going on, with all the confusion and not being able to get it back racing. I understand people being upset by it. I'm upset they didn't get back racing, but at the same time, it's how it goes sometimes. We had an upset winner. I think that's a plus. And I don't think it's Haley's fault that he was in the right spot at the right time. So I don't see a problem at all with it. He deserved it, and it's redemption for what happened last year.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was thinking that too. Like, such an amazing story. At this time last year, we were just, we were just livid with NASCAR's decision to take the win away from him in the Xfinity Series last year, and he comes back this year to the same track, nearly the same time, and scores a Cup Series win. Man, like that's unbelievable. That's so amazing, man. Like that's freaking redemption at its finest there. Jake, what were your thoughts there?
What immediately right when I saw Kurt Busch pull into the pits, I knew like right then and there, because I just recently made like a video about like somebody's final win. It was Jeff Purvis. The way he won that race, everybody goes on the pit road. Everybody had the pit. Everybody took 4 tires, fuel, and everything. He just took fuel, got back out there, won the race because they called it the lap later.
That was 2001 Texas, correct?
2002.
Or 2002, okay.
Yeah, it was the race that Michael Waltrip flipped over.
Oh, okay, that one.
Yes. So immediately, right when I saw that, I'm like, this is shades of Jeff Purvis right there. Like, it was just an amazing call. It was an amazing move. I give them props for actually doing this. Even though, like, back in the day, like 2009, I really never approved of David Rudiman or Joey Logano winning that way. The more I see it now, the more like I see that they deserve this win, because they just made amazing calls just to get them out in front and just be out in front at the right time. So they deserve this win. They deserve every single bit of victory in their name right now.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Also, chat, you guys can see, Danny B will be on shortly, so it'll be good to get his thoughts on the whole deal. My thoughts, I have to agree with you guys on this. Like, I didn't really see a problem with it. Fans want underdog wins, and fortunately you get one, and then you guys complain about that. I really don't get it. I know circumstances, they were very different, and obviously there was no way he was going to win the race if they went back green. He was saying that he had to lift entering the corner at freaking Daytona, so that just proves that the car it wasn't there. But I want to talk about the team really quick. Spire Motorsports, essentially this team, it's basically a simple cash grab for them. Like, they really haven't made any sort of effort to improve their program. It's basically for their clients to get into the Cup Series. So if you are a Spire client, if you're with the agency, then you can basically ride in the Cup Series if you are signed with them. So so take their intentions as is. I don't know. I feel like that's also contributing to some of this hate over this victory. What do you think, Jarrett? Do you agree with me on that assessment?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Like I said, I think a smaller team winning the same way that a bigger team would win a super speedway race, a plate race, whatever you want to call it at this point. I think that contributes a lot to it, as stupid as that is. I think that if you're out there, you have a shot to win, and you're deserving if you manage to get there and win. Part of the problem with Spire is that with the charter they have, they're locked in basically to every race with the charter. I don't have to worry about anything with every race. So you see how minimal everything, I guess, is with how they're going about things. And this reignited this past week. Basically everybody, even people on MRN, were ripping on the charter system. And I think that's the big problem here. That's the thing that nobody's looking at when they look at Spire. They're looking at the fact that they won a race or stole a race. But at the same time, I mean, this charter system, I think, is what produced this. I don't think without the charter system, they would have lasted this long. They wouldn't have had the opportunity to buy up the assets that they did to do this. I honestly think, looking at it, the charter system is like a reincarnation of the top 35 rule that really doomed a lot of smaller teams, except this time there is no way for other teams that aren't in charters to enter that top 35, 36 cars. You see this weekend, there's only 36 cars entered. That's basically a full field now, which is unfortunate to say. I think that's the biggest problem here that nobody is looking at. The charter system failing is the reason that we're all in this position. So if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at the drunk Brian France, because he's the one who should be blamed here, not Justin Haley, not Spire Motorsports, not the people that were within their reaches and realms to do this. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and I'm quite sure if any of y'all were put in the same situation, you guys would do the exact same thing and get away with it. So don't even lie to yourselves, man.
Oh yeah.
If you have the opportunity to win in the highest form of stock car racing in America, you're gonna do anything possible. And if that means, you know, not pitting or staying out, you know, when there's lightning in the area, you're gonna do it. So
a cool little fast fact. I saw that Ian Miller in the chat had asked when the last time the 77 went to victory lane. 1959, I believe.
Yeah,
so that's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, I forgot the driver's name, but it was the only victory for that number. So, and also think about this: Eric Jones, he didn't win in the 77, and he was driving for one of the best teams at the time.
I'll just be honest, man. I don't see anything wrong with what happened this weekend, except that, you know, it sucks we didn't get the end of a great race. I really don't see what's wrong with it. We're going to talk about the lightning stuff later, and we'll get to our poll and Jeff Gluck's poll in a bit, but I don't see what the big deal is. Like, we had a great weekend of racing, even though it was marred by rain. I don't know, man. I just don't get it. I was at a loss for words, kind of like I am right now.
Yeah, I can't really. I really don't know what to say about this anymore either. Like,
just to give one example, actually. Remember 2012 Daytona 500 when Juan Pablo Montoya hit the jet dryer.
Yeah.
Dave Blaney was on front. I didn't see anybody mad then, so why be mad at this? It's the same exact situation. Somebody called a pit strategy. They would have called it.
I believe it's probably a little bit different, I guess, because, you know, Dave Blaney, you know, up to that point was, you know, a seasoned veteran in the Cup Series. He was basically known as one of the underdogs, and, you know, Blaney's a phenomenal dirt track racer. And, you know, fans were happy to see him, you know, do good there. I guess, like, you know, some of these older fans are like, oh, Justin Haley's 20 and he's about to win in his third start on some BS call right there, or, you know, by NASCAR or something like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's why some fans were mad about that. I mean, and, you know, another crazy thing is, you know, Justin Haley got his first win before Daniel Suarez, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, and who's someone else? Matt DiBenedetto. It's crazy what a difference a year makes compared to last year for him. So, I mean, hey, congrats to him. Now, just I don't know. It would be crazy if he was running for, you know, the Cup Series championship. Oh, the fans would have been even more livid if he made the playoffs there. They would have been even more livid there. So, thankfully that didn't happen. But you know, he's doing pretty solid in the Xfinity Series. He's currently inside the top 10 in points, and, you know, he finished second, you know, the night before. So overall, it was a very phenomenal weekend for him. So props to him. This also begs another question: is Justin Haley going to be known as a one-hit wonder?
Way too early to tell.
Definitely way too early to tell, because there's still time to go. Everybody thought Joey Logano was a one-hit wonder until he won Pocono and went to Penske and started winning. It's hard to tell, like, right now. Even Trevor Bayne, like, nobody could tell until, like, he couldn't get a top 5 until 2015. So you got to let time go by to see if he's a one-hit wonder or not.
I mean, you look at it, he could be a number of things. He could be a Trevor Bayne. He really could be, but at the same time, there's other people who have come up through the ranks, been in sucky equipment. Really, their results you think they sucked, and now they, you know, over time they perform better. Or someone like a Ross Chastain, who's now seems like the NASCAR fandom's new darling. It's so early to tell. There's so many ways that his career could branch out, and especially being only 20 years old. Like, sky's the limit, I guess you could say. I think it's going to help his career, at least in the short term, when it comes to opening up to better rides. But, you know, again, time's going to be the only thing that'll help us answer that question.
You know who also won in his third start? Kevin
Kevin
Harvick.
Harvick.
Yes, I don't.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, by comparison, I mean, he did win as well. So I don't know. Maybe you never know. His career might turn out like his. We'll see. But yeah. All right. So
The
moving
guy
on.
who won the first NASCAR race won in his first start.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
See. Yeah. Of course, man. So yeah, moving on. The TV ratings came out, and the ratings for the rain delayed Coke Zero Sugar 400 race were the overnight ratings were they are a 2.23 rating. So compared to last year, I don't know. There's really no comparison, but let's just compare it anyways. Last year's race had a 2.7, and 2017's had a 3.0. So Jared, is this considered a victory considering the circumstances?
I think this is why they don't compare rain delay ones, even if it's to Sunday. I would, common knowledge would tell you that rain delayed races always diminish in viewership. But at the same time, with it being on a Sunday, which is usually a more watch time slot for NASCAR fans, you could say it's a loss. Again, for me, I'm just going to scratch it off here. But I have to say that I don't think that the last 2 weeks are going to help the TV ratings in any regard. I think that a few people might have jumped off over that time. If NBC has gains when there's not a rain out, hopefully it's this weekend at Kentucky. It would figure that after 2 great races, the sucky track would be the one that won't rain at.
Such a NASCAR thing to happen if that happens.
Yeah, because you look at the next few races and it's Kentucky, Loudon, Pocono.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if we see increases in those 3 races, which are more than likely not going to be the greatest, then I don't think we have anything to worry about. If we see decreases, then I think the trend would have started at the rain delays, and I think it would show that it was more of a fluke with the Fox increase. This is another one where only time is going to tell, but I'm really, really hoping that Kentucky, Loudon, Pocono, the Glen, Michigan, so on and so forth, I'm really hoping those increase, because if they don't, it kind of proves that we might have gotten too excited too early about the early season gains.
Jake?
What I say is it's TV ratings. Nobody really pays attention to streaming. Nobody really pays attention to people who watch it illegally. So but you can't really tell from this one because it was a rain delay.
Right.
People had things to do the next day. They can watch the race at the time. So it's hard to tell if this is going to be something that goes downhill, if something with NBC is they can just go downhill. But overall, it's just wait and see, because obviously not many people are going to be watching Kentucky. But hopefully those ratings go up. Hopefully Loudon goes up. Just because people are curious, just because people want to see what goes on. And it'll be kind of bad if somebody's first ever race was Kentucky or Loudon. But I'll just admit that. But overall, really doesn't matter right now. It's just a number right now. If it's just a rain delay, maybe more people would have watched it if it was Saturday because people were prepared for it. But overall, just a number to me right now.
Right.
It's funny you say that. Last year, my friend, she texted me like, "Oh my gosh, I'm watching the race this weekend." I'm like, "Oh, you picked the absolute worst weekend to watch." Pocono.
Yeah, that's a fun race.
Her first race she ever sat down and watched with a few other friends was Pocono. I'm like, no.
My God, you picked the wrong race, girl.
And on top of it, she didn't even watch. She didn't even see Bubba's crash. She turned off before that point because it's Pocono. It's Pocono. I was like, no.
You should have waited. Pick Daytona.
Or Watkins Glen or something.
Yeah, Daytona, Talladega, not freaking Pocono. I want that track.
I know I've told this story before, but I don't think I've told Jake before, so it seemed relevant.
I think I got lucky because my first ever race was 2000 fall of Talladega when Brian Vickers wrecked Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. I got lucky. So
mine was 05 Daytona 500. I got introduced to all the stars going for the win.
Yeah, mine was the 2004 Daytona 500 there. I saw Michael Waltrip flip and Junior win and stuff, so it became my favorite driver right then and there. But Pocono. Oh,
yeah, no, you can't do Pocono.
You want me to here? Well, before we get off of the race this current weekend,
read the poll. Read the poll.
Poll time. All right.
Iceberg's
Poll.
poll time.
Shares. Yeah, we need to have we should have an animation for that and everything. This will be a new segment.
Yeah, it's all you,
right.
man. It's all
All
on you.
right.
Take
All
it away.
right. All right. So we set a new track record, 3.5 thousand votes. Thank you
Hey,
guys.
let's go.
That beats the record we had for Sonoma of 3.4. So nice job. So we have a 38% great, 31 good, 15 average, 7 below average, and 8% of you thought that this was a bad race. We had a net positive of 69%, nice, and 15% negative on top of the 15% average. So looking through a few of your comments. First comment comes from MDev Studios, says, honestly, this has to be one of the weirdest races in NASCAR history. It was great, though.
Yep.
I think that everyone can agree. Yeah, I think all of us can agree on that. That was probably one of the best, weirdest races. Let's see. Good for Haley, but I'd rather have seen it end under green. Florida weather is ass sometimes. I completely agree with you. Sticky Daddy Milk. I love that. I've looked at it before the race. I'm like, I gotta read that username. The Coke Zero Sugar 317.5.
Yeah.
Let's see. Going down more. What?
No. To be exact, the 317.
To be exact.
Yeah.
Justin Haley won. Are you effing kidding me?
Yeah.
Kamikaze reference. Let's see. And yeah, let's see. Great race, disappointing finish. I think that's my take on it too. Great race, disappointing finish. I'm looking at the chat right now, and
Hey, Danny's here.
what's up? We're going through the poll really quick.
Yes.
Let's see, one more. Here we go. Let's go with Stream Cheese. People only think it was great because Justin Haley won. It was okay, not close to great. I disagree.
I don't know about all that. Come on now.
I disagree, but to each their own. That's the whole reason we have the poll to begin with. And thank you guys all for giving us your hot, cold, and everything in between takes. Oh, wait a minute. Where's he at? There. Oh, okay. There was one profile picture with Dracula from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Man, I love that profile picture.
Oh, Dracula. Yeah, I know. I love Dracula.
Dracula don't suck up blood. He's scraping lip. Cajun Dracula. So yeah, thank you guys for 129 comments. Keep them coming. 3,500 votes over 3 days. Nice job. And let's keep it up. Let's just continue to set records because why not?
Damn. So we have the shortest guy ever on the podcast. Number 1, that's a new record. And then number 2, a new poll record. Man, keep breaking records every day on this show, man. Let's go.
By the way, you gonna read off those super chats?
Oh yeah, I'll read those off at the top of the hour.
Hold on one second. What have I missed? Y'all are picking on Jake for his height?
Yep. Exactly.
I was like, we set a new record because Eric's the tallest.
I mean, I get it. Y'all are 6 foot and above. I mean, and I'm right there at 5'9". So I mean,
Oh boy.
He's close enough, right? Close enough. So since we have you here, Danny, what were your thoughts on the Daytona race?
So if you got a chance to check out my channel today, you saw the video I uploaded today talking about my thoughts on NASCAR's lightning policy. You can just save all my thoughts for that video. Go check that out. Other than that, though, I am happy for Justin Haley. I've actually enjoyed watching Haley's rise so far. Personally, I think he's gonna do some big things in the sport, and for him to have the opportunity to go ahead and get that first win in the Cup Series early, hey, I'm actually kind of happy for him.
Yes, that a boy, Justin Haley. So moving on to another very popular poll. Jeff Gluck's poll was very shocking to me. Only 58% thought the race was good. And it was obvious to me that there was a ton of bias in this poll here. Fans were very pissed off with Justin Haley and Spire Motorsports' victory, as well as the race not finishing under green and to the full distance. And to think that Twitter is one of the platforms that NASCAR actually listens to and looks at for a fan's opinion and engagement too, as well. And then also just like, to get their thoughts on, the sport as a whole. It's very hard to do that when you have, biased polls such as this, because to me, that's very dangerous, because NASCAR will look at this poll and they'll be like, well, wow, there was 42% who thought the race was bad. Well, we should change up the plate package here, or no, not the plate package. Excuse me, the super speedway package here.
Same difference.
Yeah, close enough, right? I don't know, Jarrett. What are your thoughts on this, man? Like, is this, is this a case of NASCAR fans just, being crybabies again?
I think everyone to each their own with their opinion on it. My deal is with the Jeff Gluck poll, especially with it being right after the race too. I mean, mine's right after, but at the same time, I kind of know where y'all are coming from. Most of the time with it, I think part of it is with Twitter compared to YouTube with polls is that you're going through all the other stuff. It's such heat of the moment. Like, I'll be completely honest, when they called the race, I'm like, screw it. Like they should have went back green. And then the more you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, well, there was lightning and this and that. And the picture afterwards of the blue skies and the fact that Heaven's Gates had opened up in Daytona did not help that in one bit. But to be honest, I'm not shocked. I knew this was probably going to be coming, especially with what we had to start with the team orders, and then on top of it with a winner that people thought didn't deserve it, and with Kurt Busch, that whole fiasco. So I'm not surprised. NASCAR probably is going to look at it and probably is going to use it as a reason to judge what to do next. I find NASCAR makes the same problems as a lot of the legacy media, whether it be in sports, politics, whatever it may be, is they listen way too much to the mob when they really need to like take a step back. Like Twitter is not running the world. Yeah. Twitter is a bunch of angry people putting stuff up and like, was it 140 characters or less, or is it 280? I don't know what the hell it is now. I don't care. I don't pay attention. So NASCAR, for the love of God, don't change this package. It's great when the drivers want to race. It's amazing.
Please.
Don't change it at all. Ignore one bad review when there's so many other good ones. That's my take. Yeah. Don't look at Twitter as your favorite way of judging the fans.
Look at us. Look at us, man.
Yeah.
Look at YouTubers,
man. In my opinion, and I'm just putting this out here because I took some time this past weekend just to get away and just unwind, go visit my family. Really, most people kind of Twitter is there, but don't let it really rule the day. As I was driving home, I was listening to Claire Lang on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, and she was talking about how she was kind of like really affected by a tweet that came out. Someone really rocked her the wrong way. They said they actually had the audacity to ask her, does your contract say you can't talk bad about NASCAR? And I was like, who even asked that to this lady? She's one of the most respected women in all of NASCAR. You don't ask her that.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like we're YouTubers. We're gonna get hated on every day, and these guys have been supporting me through some of the stuff I've been going through. And you know what? Hey, just realize it's Twitter. It's not the real life.
Yeah, exactly. Jake?
Really, just what I say is just NASCAR fans being crybabies. It's just like they didn't get the finish, they didn't get the person that they wanted to win. It's like even last race, like Alex Bowman, like everybody was like happy with that win, but there's always that one person that has to go like, oh, Alex Bowman is the next Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the whole thing or whatever. I'm like sitting there like, really? Like, just be happy with the guy that got a win. Yeah. The guy Justin Haley just got his first win. Be happy that he's actually going out and actually competing.
And again, it goes back to wanting underdogs to win, but then
exactly.
I don't get it. Like, I just do not get it, man. I mean, we need to change some of y'all's diapers, man, sometimes, because some of y'all, man, you guys go nuts.
I think it's just heat of the moment. Like, I'm the way I'm kind of looking at it here is a bit of like, and I'm not saying this just about you guys. I'm saying this about the sport in general. We criticize NASCAR for going after the fans. That we're doing the same thing right now. Yeah. I think it's just heat of the moment. I really think most of these people, if you just got them in the DMs with you, are probably going to be like, all right, yeah, bygones be bygones. Like, I really think that's what it is. I don't think that. Yeah. That's why I said don't judge it off of this knee-jerk reaction. I think that most of the people who are saying this is a bad race, if they went back and watched it again, knowing everything that happened and just enjoying it for the race it is, I think would like it more.
Yeah.
I don't want to become the next Dave Moody here, guys.
Yeah,
Like I don't
absolutely.
Don't bite the hand that feeds.
Yeah, that's a good point there. It's probably all in the heat of the moment type deal, and but still at times, just like, come on, y'all, like, come on, you guys are better than this. You're better than this, man.
Put that poll out today, and I guarantee you it'll be at least 20% higher in the positive.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. So moving on to a different type of fan thing. The so-called fan council. So this made the waves on Twitter
Still
on Friday.
Exists?
Yeah, that thing still exists. I completely forgot about that. So apparently, Steve Phelps with NASCAR was going. He was doing interviews, and I see the eye roll there from Jarrett. Yeah, he was doing interviews and basically saying that the full throttle racing package we have now is here to stay, and they're going to try and implement that into the Gen 7. And they've also been listening to a ton of fan input over the fan council. So, I mean, they I guess they don't pay attention to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter that much because it is so divided. Like, it's not, like, to me, it's not, a majority thing here. You know what I mean? So I looked up the fan council, and apparently it has roughly around 25,000 members. And another thing is this: if you are a member of NASCAR or the media, you can't join it. So I can't join it because I intern at the Speedway and I have a NASCARmedia.com account, so I wouldn't be able to join it if I wanted to. And I don't know, I feel like that's wrong in so many ways because I don't know why NASCAR would do that. Like, it's not necessarily some sort of bias. It's that, we want the sport to succeed and we want to give out input here. So, I don't know, Jared, is this fan council thing a bust or what?
The fan council it's a disaster. I joined it, I want to say in 2014. I joined it, and what it basically was, at least when they were sending me stuff, they've stopped sending me stuff in the last 2 years, more or less because I haven't, some of them I just ignored, but they haven't sent me anything. I went and looked. More or less, it's just something that sends you brochures for tracks. Like before the season, I was, I was sitting at the mall and reading like, what tracks would you like to go to? And I would love to go to every track, to be honest, not because I like all the racing, but just because it'd be amazing to experience the different tracks. So I just put them all down. I kept getting brochure after brochure after brochure. Hey, buy this. Hey, buy this. Hey, go to this track. Hey, buy tickets here and do this. The questions, I've seen people on Reddit put, screenshots of what, I'm Blue Jimmy. I might make a video on the fan council, especially since Steve Phelps actually wanted to make an attempt to make it seem viable. No, the questions they put on are so loaded. They're so biased too, especially from what they've put on Reddit before most of them disappear. It's like that is a worse thing to look at than Twitter.
Oh yeah, and I
will go that far.
One of the questions was, do you want to see it finish close or spread out or something like that? I'm like, what?
Yes,
like
that.
What?
It is so biased. Like, you know what? To be honest, I'd put spread out just so I could troll them. Like, yeah. I don't care. Like, the fan council is an utter failure. I wish I had never joined up with it to begin with, but apparently my membership expired because, again, they stopped sending me stuff at the start of 2018. But the fact that Steve Phelps, someone in this high of power in NASCAR, is trying to pass this off like it's something worth looking at is really sad. It's sad. It needs to be called out. This dude can't go a week without putting his foot in his mouth.
Wait, I'm having trouble. You said there's 25,000 people in this?
According
They've had
to Twitter,
it since like 2012.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is so many. If you think of that, really sounds like it's easy. Like, granted, you just said you can't do it if you meet certain criteria, but that sounds like it's just so easy for just anybody to join. It's like there's no exclusiveness to it. I mean, I heard this week, and this kind of doesn't make sense. If there can be 25,000 in the fan council, there's only 52 people that get to decide the NASCAR Hall of Fame every year, and you have to be someone who's like been in the sport for a long time. When fans really don't get to decide, more or less who's going into the Hall of Fame.
When I had initially signed up for it, again, I was 16 at the time, and so like when I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is like something that they'll actually take my input on, because when they were talking about, that was the same time the drivers council was being put together and they were getting input from the drivers in person, and so it's like, oh, maybe it'd be structured like that. That would probably be a better way of doing it, but again, there's no way to really judge which fans have the better opinions and whatnot. It just was one of those things where it's like it's one of those things that we're going to look back on in 10 years and be like, oh yeah, that was a thing once.
Yeah. Jake, what are your thoughts on this, man?
You're telling me that people pay a subscription for something just to like vote and just get some free stuff?
They don't pay.
But
You don't pay?
They try and make you pay for different stuff.
But you're trusting like a fan council when like people are being critical about the sport on Twitter, they're being critical on YouTube, and like you don't listen to these people. You listen to these people that are just a part of fan council, which the way it sounds is like some of these guys that are like on the fan council, it sounds like they only just watch NASCAR. They don't watch any other sport. So they're going to be biased towards NASCAR. And then when they hear like an argument with another sport, they're going to be like, oh, NASCAR, they're more athletic than football players.
I wanted to bring that up too. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll talk about that more a bit later. But just overall, like, you're trusting like a small amount of fans instead of just listening to an entire like social media website where like you get input like right away. You get people that see that stuff right away instead of these people that are just like sitting there like just enjoy the sport. Like people, that's the casual watcher, not like somebody who's serious. Just get input from like people that like know like people that don't know NASCAR.
Yeah,
like get them in there.
And to me, NASCAR would honestly be better off if they just ran certain polls on their social media accounts. I mean, the freaking NASCAR Twitter has 3.3 million, and I'm assuming like on Facebook they have what like 9 or 10 million followers on there because they've been on there for a long time. And then on their Instagram, they just reached 1 million followers on Instagram, and they have over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, run different polls on there rather than just relying on some fan council that has a small subsection of fans.
Instead of copyrighting us, NASCAR Media Group.
Another bag of worms or pile of worms we can get into.
That's for a whole nother day, but
no, it's just one of those deals where NASCAR needs to again step back, reevaluate what they're doing, and go like you said. They got millions of followers on all these different platforms. They got 338,000 subscribers on YouTube. You can't take such a small amount of people. Basically, and the funny thing is at least when I was part of that fan council and they were sending me stuff, they're like, oh, and claim your free calendar. Go on there and you had to spend like $25 for it. And it's like,
it's crazy. I honestly don't get it. Hopefully NASCAR wakes up and smells the roses over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, but at the same time, I'm not sure. So moving on, I don't have this written down, but Jake reminded me of this. So over the weekend, we had some more controversy involving Brad Keselowski. Really, it all started on NASCAR Reddit. Someone had put a thing of the current Kansas City Chiefs safety, Tyrann Mathieu, a.k.a. the Honey Badger. Basically,
great player.
He was absolutely great player. He was on the he was doing some PSA about leaving your pets in a hot car, and he could only last in this car for about 8 minutes. Someone from there, and I'm not gonna trash. Excuse me.
If you're talking about the Twitter title, at least the Twitter account for NASCAR Reddit's a bot.
No, I'm just talking about NASCAR Reddit. I'm not talking about the Twitter one. But
okay.
But yeah, so like someone from NASCAR Reddit pretty much put on there like, oh, and NASCAR drivers aren't athletes, and I don't know, it was a very dumb comparison to begin with, because like that wasn't the point. The whole point was it was some public PSA about not leaving your pets in a hot car, in hot weather, and then this wasn't the smartest thing for Keselowski to do. He put a thing saying, he tweeted out something saying 8 minutes with the little question emoji there. And to say the least, the Honey Badger was not thrilled at all. And he, basically clapped back at him on Twitter. And, it caused a whole nother controversy with people saying, oh, NASCAR's not a sport, look at these guys and all that stuff. And then, you had NASCAR fans and non-NASCAR fans who know nothing of our sport basically debating back and forth on Twitter. I don't know, Jared. What do you think about this whole thing, man? The whole thing seemed very stupid from the very beginning.
Personally, I think Brad Keselowski was trolling and it worked excellently.
Yeah,
Like that's what I think it was.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Like that's why I wasn't like immediately going, "Oh, yeah, that's just bad. You shouldn't say that." It's like, no, it's funny. He's messing with you, and Honey Badger took the bait.
Yeah.
It seems like little bee sting really does affect him. To be honest, this is completely blown out of proportion. I hated having to see this all day long in my mentions and stuff because people left and right were like, "Hey, what do you think?" I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I've had this argument before. I put a video out on it. I don't care. It's stupid. It's all stupid. I really think it stemmed though from because Keselowski saw it on Twitter and it stemmed from the title of it. The bot put it out there like that. So personally, I think he was just taking the piss. I don't think it was anything more than that. And no, that's not cussing still. Just for everyone who might be in the chat, it's close.
You're borderline.
Borderline.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing all the last year and a half. I'm just wanting to skirt the line. But nah, it's a stupid controversy that everyone needs to just forget about at this point. That's my take.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Jared on this one. It's completely blown out of proportion. Nothing really. It's news from non-news.
Yeah, woke Twitter had a field day though. They were having a field day on there, man. They were. Oh my god.
They have a field day if someone blinks the wrong way. I don't care what they have to think. Like I don't. Okay. Who cares?
Yes,
this
it's
is
not
TMZ level crap. Who cares?
Yeah, it's not. But it's not woke NASCAR Twitter without some controversy over some BS though.
Who cares? It doesn't matter. Nobody's gonna remember this after the race at Kentucky.
Yeah,
Kentucky is gonna be more memorable than this.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot there too, considering the track. So
Think of it like this. It's kind of similar to my series. Danny B Needs a Minute. I go over one thing. And then the next day, I go over another thing. But am I talking about what I talked about the last time? No. We move on.
Right. Yeah, Jake, any thoughts on this? Or you kind of said it already, but...
I mean, in a way, like I always say this, there's only going to be one Bo Jackson. There's only going to be one player who can play multiple sports. So it's like NASCAR drivers specialize in NASCAR. I posted two different pictures, one with Carlos without a shirt on and one with Tony Stewart with his big old stomach. Really, like anybody could, like they always say, like anybody could hop into a NASCAR. It's just a matter of that person that can actually take it. That can actually take like 500 miles, going 200 plus mile an hour, like each lap. So it's like, it really depends. Like you specialize in the sport that you do. Football players specialize in football. Soccer players specialize in soccer. NASCAR drivers specialize in NASCAR. That's how IndyCar drivers can't move over. So really, it's just simple talk.
And vice versa as well. Like NASCAR drivers can't go over to IndyCar or F1 as well. Yeah. I don't know. It's like they're not comparable, the two sports, so stop it. Like, stop it. You're making yourself look foolish.
You're comparing apples to roses. That's what you're comparing.
Yeah.
They both came from plants, but it doesn't mean that they're similar.
Like, you can't even compare NASCAR to IndyCar or even F1 because they're so different. So why would you compare NASCAR to stick and ball sports? Stop it. Just stop it. You're making yourself look foolish here.
We're obviously superior.
No,
I'm having fun, man.
Yeah.
Really quick, I want to bring this up before. I know we got past Daytona, but really quick, attaboy to NBC. Even though you had crappy camera angles on your NASCAR nonstop, you also used the crowd mic. I've been hitting this point.
Yeah,
they did. I noticed that.
Yes,
I loved it. Do it more. Do it more. It was awesome. It completely made me forget about your crappy angle on NASCAR nonstop that I just now remembered.
When was the last time they used that though? I can't remember. So long.
Well, they
ago.
use it time to time, so you can hear it in Fox in 2013 at Auto Club. You can hear it when Dale Jr. You always heard it when Dale Jr. won, but that was more because of how loud they were. You heard it with Jeff Gordon when he won at Martinsville. They used it sparingly. If they can use it like sparingly, but at the same time more. Like I guess like just a few times when there's good racing, good finishes kind of thing going on. I think that would be a perfect medium to sit on. Don't make it like the on-track interviews where it's like, look at this, Kyle Busch with a 6-second lead, the crowd goes nuts, and you just hear someone being like,
Crickets.
"Yeah, sucks."
You hear crickets.
Oh, you just hear, "Boo, this guy sucks." No, so again, just do a happy medium. Happy medium. Play it when there are good moments going on, because it just heightens that so much. I think this is one area you can compare stick and ball sports and NASCAR with. Is I'll tell you what, part of what made me as a Viking fan so excited during the Minneapolis Miracle was hearing the fans explode. Like that place
was
explode.
amazing.
Yes.
That's also what helped me get into NASCAR to begin with in 2005 with the Daytona 500. When Junior passed Gordon for the lead and the crowd went nuts, 7-year-old me started getting excited. I'd never watched a full race before in my life. Do it more. It helps with the experience, especially for people just getting into the sport. It just makes it more exciting. And I think most of us would agree that we all appreciate hearing the fans more.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Make that a bi-weekly thing, man, for sure. NBC. So really quick, let's see, 216 people watching, only 87 likes, guys. Make sure to lick the like button. Let's get up to 100 before the top of the hour. So back to Daytona. It was also the end of a 60+ year tradition. The Daytona 4th of July day weekend race for that weekend, and unfortunately, it has come to an abrupt end, and it is going to be moving to Indianapolis in 2020, unfortunately. So I don't know. I was kind of upset about it. You know, this was always a race weekend that, you know, us NASCAR fans really looked forward to. I'll try to give, you know, next year's Indianapolis race a chance before I jump to conclusions, but I don't know, man. Danny, you start us off here. Can this tradition be duplicated at Indianapolis on the 4th of July?
I don't think it can in the same way, obviously, because and the appeal of Daytona in the summertime was that it could also be a night race, and obviously night racing, 4th of July fireworks is a big thing. Me, I'm 4 hours away from Indianapolis. I may try to go next year just because I am close, and it could, you know, be, you know, the start of a new thing for me. But I don't. It's this the 4th of July weekend of Daytona just has so much history behind it. But then again, there's a lot of people have a lot of fond memories of Bristol being in August, and now it's moved to into the playoffs next year.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's just one of the dates you don't touch. And honestly, I have a feeling that NASCAR they'll realize this mistake and they'll move it back on the schedule in 2021. Hopefully, but I won't be surprised if they don't as well.
I don't see it that early, but because we've kind of experimented with Indianapolis where it is right now for a couple of years. We experimented with Chicagoland where it was for a few years. After seeing how it was this year, I think it was actually a better fit, and how it was last year too. I think it's a better fit where it is now, Chicagoland at least. But Daytona, we'll get at least 3 years out of this.
Just get rid of Indy, man. It's such an eyesore whenever you watch it, man. Like, it's not full anymore. Like, I mean, I just uploaded a video yesterday called Championship Seasons Jeff Gordon 2001, and when he won the Brickyard 400 again, it was packed. And I mean, you just look at it now; it's so empty. It's such an eyesore, man. Like, just get rid of it. Just take it off the schedule entirely, and let's go to IRP. I'd prefer that more, and so would a lot of other fans. Jarrett, what do you think, man?
I think that NASCAR at Indy's been dead for a long time, and we just defiled the grave on Independence Day next year. And to be completely honest, if it wasn't already dead, this is a death sentence for it. You replace a hated track in NASCAR, or you replace a love track in NASCAR with one of the most hated tracks in NASCAR. On top of that, you put it on the 4th of July during the day of the 4th of July. And I get that we did Daytona during the day of the 4th of July, but that was set in the morning. It was set that, you know, after the race, you can go to the beach, you can go watch fireworks, you can enjoy your stay and vacation. Indianapolis is a town that people all leave. Seriously, and the 4th of July, more or less from what people that live there and people who have you know, said in the chats before, people leave Indianapolis to go to better places for the 4th of July.
David Lynn said that. David Lynn said that too.
Yes, even David said that. Whereas Daytona is a destination. everyone wants to go to Daytona Beach at some point or another. Everyone loves Daytona, even if it's not for the racing. So you have that chance of getting that casual racing fan. Now you have it on the 4th of July, which, historically holidays are not good for sporting events for the most part, unless there's something traditionally attached to it. Wink, wink. So you have it on the 4th of July. The attendance is going to be bad to begin with, but then with it being on the holiday, I think that would hurt TV numbers too. It's bad racing for the most part. Yeah, we had a good finish, but the racing before that wasn't good. It was passable. I mean, we were ranting and raving about a 6 out of 10 race because it was Indy. And now you go back to the summer. Just scrap it. I'm hoping the theory that they're trying to kill it in 3 years and this is just the last little knife. I'm really hoping that's what the plan is. I don't think that's what it's going to be. It's history repeating itself with Darlington, and we all saw how that turned out. Even people that were the most behind Darlington being on the Mother's Day weekend race could see that it had to go back to Labor Day. It helped with ratings. It helped with all this stuff later in the year, I should say. I don't know. People are going to call me a traditionalist about this, but when
that's fine.
I know I'm right.
Yeah, that's fine, man. That's fine. I don't know. Put a fork in it. It's done, man. Jake?
I think what I'm more mad about is that now it's playoff decider Daytona.
Oh.
That's what really gets me the most, because you can't really have Daytona to decide the playoffs. Anybody could win the race. Anybody could just make a strategy like Justin Haley did.
Yeah.
Anybody can just draft their way up to the front like David Reagan did back in 2013. Anybody could win this race. It's going to affect the playoffs. It's not really going to be
and it's the middle of hurricane season.
It's the middle of hurricane season. So it's going to be worse than what we have right now.
It'll be exciting though, but
it will.
If it gets done.
Yeah.
If it gets done. Seriously.
But there's going to be a wreck. There's going to be a big wreck that just takes everybody out, and then you're going to get somebody who doesn't belong in the playoffs into the playoffs.
Yeah. Whoever has had the most second place finishes that season without a win, they're causing a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're causing it, man. And yeah, I mean, Jared brought up a good point there. It's in the middle of freaking hurricane season, so hopefully they even get to run it, and they might have to even scrap it or at least delay it. So I don't know. You never know, man.
I got so much crap from people that worked in NASCAR, like just spotters and lower members of crews and stuff. I got so much crap for saying it was a bad move because it will put up the excitement that the playoffs have.
We know that.
I'll be honest, this is one step towards the goal. I'm telling you what, NASCAR is going full entertainment. They're not moving Daytona back to the 4th of July anytime soon. They're more likely, when they're seeing how they're compacting the schedule together, they are more likely to put Daytona as the finale by the time 2030 rolls around than they are to move it back to the 4th of July. That's my take on it. They're going to put it at the finale. They're going to put Talladega as the deciding race. This is the direction that NASCAR has shown us they're going in. They're talking about the full throttle racing. This is the direction they're going in. They tradition be damned.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is NASCAR's excuse to get Daytona to move back to the finale because there's going to be a hurricane. They can't race that weekend. They're going to have to move it right to the back like they did with Loudon and with 9/11. So it's in the same situation.
Yeah.
We're gonna start in Daytona. We're gonna end in Daytona.
Oh God. Can you imagine the championship being decided at freaking Daytona? I'm like, we're talking about it right now.
Bring the finale back to Atlanta.
I can see them happening.
Well, I've been thinking since we've had this format, if all four freakishly went into a big wreck, would it literally be whoever slides the furthest?
Oh,
that's really what's going to be. Whoever gets their car started first and start rolling. It's going to be the 1976.
What the old druggy France wanted, and all of them now want after the regime. What they all want is for all four cars to be side by side, 4 wide, crashing, and the winner rolls across on his roof. That's what NASCAR wants. They want entertainment. They have said it. They have flat out said it that the entertainment takes precedence over racing and tradition here.
Yeah.
Blah. Bring back short tracks.
Yes,
I like that. I'll be in Miami. I kind of want to see that now.
No bias whatsoever. But yeah.
And here comes Truex on his roof. He wins.
He wins the championship. I wouldn't be surprised if that
We
happens.
all laugh about it now, but it's probably gonna happen.
It's
Yeah,
probably
I
gonna
feel
happen.
like some fans 10 years ago laughed about a freaking playoff system and a whole win in and you're in system. So anything is possible.
They
in the
laughed
world of
about it in
NASCAR.
2014 before it was officially announced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
so be
the-
careful
the
what
fact-
you laugh about.
The fact that people are thinking this is some crazy idea is not. It's not connected to reality. It is not a crazy idea to think
Yeah.
that plate tracks are going to be deciding the championship. Not with this format.
Ah,
The stupid fan council.
yeah.
I know they could have saved us all.
I know. You never know, man. You never know. We'll see what happens. So we are now at the top of the hour in the podcast. Let's read off some super chats. Flying Gator says, "Fitting to have him on after Justin Haley won." Oh, you know why? He's talking about Jake because Justin Haley is very short. Yeah, you burned him. Oh my god. I didn't bring it up this time. I only brought it up twice. I only brought it up twice, man, and this was at the very beginning. So I ain't say nothing. I ain't say nothing though. That's a good burn there. Good burn there.
Hey,
Flying
at least when we sit on a webcam, you can't really tell our height. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold
man.
on.
Yeah, oh no.
Oh,
no.
no.
Oh no.
Smart people. Look at me.
Oh my god.
A woman, hey,
here.
that thing could be 6 feet tall for all I care.
And now our special guest.
Oh man. All right, another super chat. Wait, hold up. Dang, okay, there we go.
I know there's one coming up you can't read.
Oh yeah, Big Blue Attack. I have a forget NASCAR. Oh, okay. I have a forget NASCAR driver for Danny B. Tommy Kendall, 3-time IMSA, GTU, and Trans Am champion. Yeah, that's a good idea for you there. I know who that is. He made one Xfinity, or no, he made one Cup Series start for the injured Kyle Petty in '92, I believe, at Sonoma. Didn't
Tommy,
you
what
talk
was
about
what was the
Tommy
last
Kendall?
name?
Tommy Kendall. Didn't you do him
I have-
already? I thought you did
I
him
haven't.
already. Man.
No, I haven't done that one yet. I did Steve Kinzer.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna add him.
All right, so there you go. That's another idea. He's gonna get right on that. The black hole guy. Oh, this is a funny one. Last week I went to my workplace to pick up my check wearing my number 78 championship hat, and my boss said, "Kurt Busch got himself another one, huh?" I laughed. He raced one season for them in 2013. Made it to the chase at the time, but no, Truex
Hey,
is
at
the
least
man.
the boss. At least
Been
the
a while
boss
since
knew he
you-
rode.
Been a while since he was watching, but
Yeah,
But
it's
at
been a
least
while.
he knew who it was.
Exactly. At
Right
least you know who
now
Kurt
at that
Busch is.
point.
Yeah. All right. So the next one, Elite Flight. Get rid of the charter system. No locked in spots.
Agreed.
Agreed. I
Agreed.
did, however, respect and commend the top 35 system we used to have.
No, that rule. I will debate this till the day I die. That rule is the reason why smaller teams right now are as bad a shape as they are right now.
Okay. Yeah. I could understand that too. I don't know. I don't know. Like sometimes it would be very entertaining. Like I remember when Jamie McMurray was struggling and like he had to qualify his way in because his Roush Racing team was so bad. He had to put in a good qualifying effort. So I remember those days. But yeah, for the most part, I could agree there. And Carl Singleton with 3 straight super chats, and I am gonna update this as I read them. NASCAR fans just want to be stupid. I mean, no. I mean, like some fans have different opinions. Again, the whole thing with Justin Haley was in the heat of the moment. So, so you can't really blame them for that. And he also says, I think we need someone with no relationship to the Francis whatsoever running NASCAR. That is never. I mean, yeah, but I mean that's
never gonna happen.
That's close to impossible though, because like they run the damn show. You know what I mean? Like not just Brian France, the whole France family. Like hell, they freaking built NASCAR. They even
It's
came
the
up
NASCAR mafia.
Yeah, it's basically
I-
basically the NASCAR
that's-
mafia.
That's like I like to watch wrestling. It'd be like saying the McMahons shouldn't have anything to do with WWE. Granted, they shouldn't. It's terrible right now. But that's
They're about to start a football league.
XFL,
Again.
I'm excited. I'm excited about that. St. Louis as a team, go St. Louis, man. All right, another one. Oh, I can't read that.
Hey.
I can't read that. The like button is a bleep. There we go.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So the next one, Levi. Haley got his justice. Woohoo! Great show so far. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. He absolutely did compared to last year. And Carl Singleton with another one. Am I still waiting for NASCAR/MLB crossovers?
Well,
I did do one on football, so you never know. I could do a
no, I
research
think he's
video on
talking
that.
about my video where I did like a bunch of
Yeah.
them.
Oh,
You
Here's
promised
the
a
thing.
bunch.
Here's the thing is that my NFL one just got copyright claimed by the NFL for a NASCAR clip.
what?
Yeah. The NFL and Fox Sports are greedy MFers.
That's crazy.
But I'd be willing to do it. I just don't know how long it's gonna stay up.
Oh my god, that's
But
crazy.
yeah, so that's my take on it.
All right, and then last one from Big Blue Attack again. Also, what about a split in NASCAR like kart IRL? I did
I think
allude
it's
to this.
realistic.
I did allude to this for a brief moment, but just hear me out on this. So, I mean, even Elijah Burke, who works in NASCAR, even said it. Remember when we had him on my channel? He even alluded to that. It was about a topic that had nothing to do with the one we're talking about right now, about the whole split. And he just said, "Well, I don't think Kyle Busch is going to win because he's going to break any more NASCAR records because I think by that time there's going to be some split and he's going to be in some other stock car league." And I'm like, what? Like, this is a guy inside the sport saying this, and he said some pretty interesting things about the teams having a lot more power than the fans think, and even the sport likes to think. I mean, it is true. I mean, like Ganassi or Hendrick Motorsports or a team like Roush Racing could, say, you know what, let's all band together and let's just leave and let's start our own stock league or stock car racing league,
Because unlike back in the day, when again, now this is not an argument about we need to go back to strictly stock. We can't do that. We can go back. We can try and go back in certain aspects. We can't do it fully. But this is why this is the difference between now and then, where the drivers just said, "Screw it, we're not racing." At Talladega, and they could scrounge together a field the night before, granted with a lower division. Can't do that now.
Yeah.
The teams definitely have much more power than fans give them credit for. And David brought it up last year when you guys were doing the debate on it. Is that NASCAR right now is right before, it's very similar to where they were before the split.
And I thought he was crazy. I thought he was crazy last year to think that.
The more he brought it up,
looking
the
like
more
it.
you look into it.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. And again, it's one of those things where you go back 10 years, go back to 2009 and look at how much the sport has changed. That stuff would have seemed ludicrous back then, just insane. And it's reality now.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely that, I could totally see NASCAR right now, whether we want to say it or not, whether we want to just hide it for new fans or not, there is a huge gap of opinion between the sanctioning body, the drivers, the owners, the fans. There's a lot of people tugging different directions. Eventually it's gonna start cracking and tear, and so a split is very realistic. I'm just hoping that NASCAR knows this. I assume they do, and put some proper precautions in place to try and stop that, because I do think it's something very realistic.
And you also got to remember, there's one owner in NASCAR that was a part of that kart split from the USAC. Penske. He helped run it.
Penske. Or I said Ganassi. My bad. No, Penske.
Ganassi was racing at the time. It wasn't him. So, yeah, like it's possible that like this could happen. You could get like somebody that's like smart, like somebody high up in NASCAR, like in teams that could help this merger or help this split, I should say.
Yeah. So never underestimate him.
I'm not going to say I think it's going to happen, but I will say it's certainly possible because of what I've seen more in other sports here lately. You look at football. The NFL is a big giant, but we're about to see the relaunch of the XFL that has a lot more potential going into it next year. Likewise, related to the same family doing the XFL, the McMahon family is currently fighting a bunch of former WWE superstars who have now created this huge organization called All Elite Wrestling, and they have now emerged as a sudden serious competitor to them. So nothing's impossible in the world of these kind of things.
Yeah, anything is possible, man. One last super chat from, let me see, from Corvette Racing 48 says, Ben Kennedy needs to be in charge. I feel like he's a bit young to take on that role, but I don't know. I mean, he's done a very good job with the running the truck series. So hopefully in the future that happens. So let's take a look at the stream. 239 watching, only 122 likes. Make sure to lick the like button. And And right now, Jarrett is about to give us the rundown, man. Give us, the lightning round, man. Let's go. What do you got?
All right, let me pull up my little stash of knowledge on my phone. That's basically just screenshots. Okay, so lightning round. If you did not see, and again, we're just gonna just point by point by point. We aren't gonna add too much into most of these. Aspire Jackman, who was, from what they had said, the backup Jackman this weekend, was suspended for substance abuse policy. So,
Jack, man.
yes. Also, this surface this week, I thought it was really, really cool. Cool way to connect NASCAR into pop culture a bit. Demi Lovato has a 3 tattooed on her, and it is in honor of her father, who was a huge Dale Earnhardt fan. And I guess growing up, both of them used to watch lots of races together and root for Dale Earnhardt, and I'm assuming Dale Earnhardt Jr. So that's a really cool thing. That's something that, well, I don't think, let's not blow this out of proportion. It's not going to bring all of Demi Lovato's fans to NASCAR. It's still going to be something. It's going to be something, though, that, it's like, hey, it can be respected by someone who has nothing to do really with the sport in her professional life. So really cool thing right there. I always like seeing when NASCAR crosses over into pop culture in one way or another. Shows that it no matter where it is, it's always had a footprint and fingerprints on pop culture.
It's have you seen the trend of a lot of like rappers and other people like that who are somehow oddly enough wearing like a NASCAR jacket just out of random?
Yeah.
Merch,
I mean,
man.
you
It's so
see
cool.
it a lot.
It's so cool.
Corey LaJoy, they announced his Darlington throwback. Really good looking car. You should check it out. Darian, maybe you can find that while I'm reading the rest of them. And screen share it when we get the chance.
He also got baptized over the weekend too, and
That's right.
He ended up finishing
that's you.
6th, so God was definitely behind him this weekend.
Praise the Lord.
Carson Elledge flipped in her race. Pretty scary flip, but she is okay. So whew, it's scary. I can't imagine what her parents were going through, because I know how much my parents were scared when I got hurt playing basketball or got hit hard with football, and then you see your kid flipping up in the air out of a track. Okay, Adam Stern reported this. SMI has held recent meetings with Nashville Fairgrounds commissioners, tongue twister, to start over on the design of the potential speedway renovation. And the tweet here is, quick update on NASCAR and Nashville Fairgrounds. They say that they have had 2 meetings with SMI to start from scratch the redesign and design of the track and footprint with the soon-to-be nearby MLS Stadium nearby. It's a long ways away on any final look, per the board. So not the greatest news. I mean, at least there are still talks, but that's
looking less likely now.
Yeah.
Soccer of all things. People only care about soccer once every 4 years, for the most part. And then this was another interesting stat. The purse for Daytona this weekend was found to be $2.5 million, with $125,000 for the winner, Justin Haley. Now, that seems like a lot of money, and it is for most of us who wish we could get that. Super chats are encouraged.
Yes, help me.
We need our golden toilets.
Yeah.
We need a gold toilet. $300,000 though. That was what it was 4 years ago for Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning the exact same race. That is eye-opening, to say the least.
It varies on contracts as well, like with drivers and teams, but still, like that's NASCAR as a whole just doesn't have as much money as they used to.
9% less.
Yeah.
In winnings there. That's something. You make of that what you will. I'd say that just kind of shows. And then Darian, you can after showing the paint scheme, you can kind of talk about what we were talking about before the race about what Adam Stern is saying about the upcoming 2025 TV deal.
Yes, we'll get into that really quick. This is the paint scheme right here, if you guys can see it. It is a throwback to one of Dale Jarrett's Busch Series cars too, and it happens to be off of the old Crunch scheme too. So.
Yep, the old Nestle Crunch.
Yep, my favorite chocolate bar ever. Absolutely. Okay, so moving on. So this was reported by Adam Stern 4 days ago, and this was under the radar. I just found this today. So apparently, ISC is projecting the new TV deal in 2025 to be down more than 40% than the current in value than the current one is right now. someone mentioned on this podcast about the new TV deal being down. I wonder who that is, Jared. Who mentioned that?
I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder.
I wonder who won it. Yeah, but I had thought about I mean it's the trend that we're going. To be completely honest, whether it's I think both NASCAR and TV as a whole have both lost a lot of worth over the last few years. The internet is really starting to take over from TV. That's why you see so many big corporations trying to basically cheat the system on YouTube. And watch Tim Pool if you want to know more about that. But this shouldn't be surprising at all. And NASCAR and the teams, I am assuming had to have planned with this in mind. It sucks because NASCAR needs that money, but there's gonna be some cuts soon. With a less lucrative TV deal, I think that also opens up the chances of shorter schedules, whether it just be more condensed schedules, more double headers maybe, or just 32, 28 race, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this should not be a surprise to any fans whatsoever. What NASCAR needs to do now is, they started with advertising and they started with a few things before the season, but starting this season on, they need to start reevaluating and completely restructuring their business plan, because at this point, what they have right now is not sustainable with a new contract, having 40 or more % less money involved with it. The tracks are going to have to need to get more people, and more revenue. I know, Darren, you said at LVMS they have other events throughout the year. Well, a lot of tracks don't. A lot of tracks, NASCAR is the big kebab. It's the big thing. So this, I think, right now is sort of the prequel, the warning signs that NASCAR culture is going to be much, much different just as a functional organization in the next 5 to 10 years.
Adapt or die, basically. That's what they
pretty much.
I've been thinking about this, and the clock is ticking for NASCAR to go ahead and try to do a streaming service, like an exclusive app service, whatever. If I knew that I would pay $15 a month for this service, and even a dollar from that could go to each track that they go to each month, I'd be happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Jake?
Really, just it seems like we just the whole time, when you guys were talking, I was just thinking, if you just ask somebody who doesn't watch NASCAR, just who's in NASCAR, they'll tell you Dale Earnhardt Jr. is still racing, Jeff Gordon's still racing, Tony Stewart's still in the 20. It's you don't have NASCAR doesn't have identity right now. They're in an identity crisis. They're too focused on these young guys. Well, yeah, you got to focus on the young guys, but they're not focusing enough on these guys that can help them get back up so much. So, and it doesn't help that these guys aren't winning every week in and out like they were back in 2000 to 2007, that young group. So,
yeah.
But there are also people who are, I'm hearing excuses for why that they don't watch it anymore, and it doesn't make any sense. I've been taking advantage of my XM trial in my truck, and I've been listening to Sirius XM radio. A guy literally called in to start talking about how bad the NASCAR product was, and he said it was so bad he stopped watching. He doesn't watch race anymore. He only finds out about how they are from lists from people on social media and his friends at work. And I'm like, then you, and I agreed with
still paying attention.
Yeah, I agreed with the host of the show. It's like, why are you calling into Sirius XM radio if you're admitting you're not even watching the races?
I want attention. That's basically what
that's it.
I don't know. Some fans are very confusing, but yeah, definitely have to look into this, restructuring this deal. Otherwise, there might not be a NASCAR left. I mean, I know some NASCAR fans give IndyCar a hard time, but the cost to run
IndyCar's doing better.
I mean, they're doing way better as far as a whole business model. I'm not gonna lie. So, and plus, the racing has been pretty spectacular this year, and really the past 2 years it has. So, I don't know. You gotta adapt or die, NASCAR.
Shoot, if you really break it down, things like the World of Outlaws and Lucas Oil late models, they're probably doing way better if you really think about how it's on a smaller scale, but they're doing it a lot more each week. So in the long run, I think they're doing really well for themselves.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So
Maybe NASCAR does need a split because like back in like the 1980s, NFL like they almost died out. Like they were almost just like completely abandoned
Had
until the
USFL,
USFL came and actually brought it back to life. So maybe NASCAR kind of needs like maybe like an ARCA series just like come out of nowhere and like explode like out of nowhere. So I feel like this is the only way that NASCAR could be saved.
Imagine the ARCA
And-
like the ARCA series being like the top flight for NASCAR competition, like the car.
Hey,
Insane.
breaking news. So NASCAR Heat 4 trailer was released 20 minutes ago. I'm looking at it, and it literally looks like NASCAR Heat 3, except they added motion blur. So that's cool.
Oh, great.
I just want good physics. I
Right.
don't care what it
Hey,
looks like. Just give me good physics. man.
the physics look exactly like last one.
No, oh my god. Just for
We
me.
saw
No.
some of them. No, yeah, I mean, again, what did we expect?
I don't. Oh, come on,
Oh,
704. Give me
but-
something to work
You know
with.
you're gonna get those
Oh my gosh,
white
guys.
knights.
Oh
in
my
there.
gosh, guys. There's a track map.
They're
Oh
adding
my
a
God.
track map that's been in the game for like 20
I don't know
years
how
before
I don't know
that.
how they managed. I don't know how they managed to do it, but they actually made me agree with and like the take of Nick Bromberg. How dare you? How dare you? I can't take it seriously, man.
has the motion blur and a track map.
Esports ready.
Esports ready.
I'm watching the trailer right now. It just reminds me of NASCAR Inside Line.
I'll say
That's it.
the smoke looks better.
Where are you guys finding it? I can't find it.
Twitter.
It's on
Just
Twitter.
look on Twitter, NASCAR
Alright.
Heat 4. The smoke looks better, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And I mean they're making passes on the high side, but you don't know what difficulty any of that. But
And again, we
Track
hope the
map.
company does better. We hope because we play these games
Yeah.
all the time. We want them to do
And
good, but freaking it's
I-
so hard to freaking defend anything they do.
I get they're indie developers, but they have the full support of NASCAR.
Yeah.
They have the full support of NASCAR. They put thousands and thousands of dollars into the esports stuff, into the game. Like come on, guys. Like we're 4 games in and we're celebrating a track map.
Wow. The
People
track
were doing
map's
this in the
back.
90s. People were doing this in the 90s. Like, this
NASCAR
isn't something
98
to
has a
celebrate.
track map.
Like, I don't know.
NASCAR Heat 4 needs an ultimate team to stay alive and actually make a better product.
Hell, even NASCAR Rumble had a freaking track map. NASCAR Rumble. It wasn't even like
Yeah.
But
realistic racing.
yeah, so
Oh.
watch that and go for it. Yeah, they're indie developers, but they'll charge full price. Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, guys. I mean, like I don't like ripping on him for the fact that of being a jerk about it, but it's like I'm gonna be having like for core and stuff. I'm gonna have to spend money to get this game. Like I don't care about how it was made. I care about getting a good product for the money I've made.
By the way,
Like the money I am spending.
That's the
I
only
might-
that's the only reason Jared even buys these games anymore for core. That's it. Otherwise, he
Yeah.
wouldn't give a shit.
I may buy the game, but I'm not buying it new. I'm probably gonna buy it pre-owned after it's been out for a little bit.
Yeah, it'll probably.
You
be
don't
like
know where that
$30.
one's been. You don't know what that thing has done in its past. You don't know what PS4s that thing's been in.
Yeah, talk about sloppy seconds, man. God damn.
Well, I bought a pre-owned truck, so
Alright, so moving on. So Eric Estep's not here tonight. The reason why is because he was at the Slinger Nationals last night and watched his very own childhood hero, Matt Kenseth, take the victory on a last lap bump and run to win the race, man. Matt Kenseth, man, he's been gone for quite a while here. Since leaving NASCAR last season after running his part-time stint, and man, like Kenseth still has it, man. He still has it.
I like to imagine that Eric is as happy as I was last week.
Oh yeah, probably double as happy, man. Like a spectacular finish there. Ty Majeski was a little bit ticked off by it, but like he understands it's a racing deal. It's short track racing, but some other fans were pretty pissed off there. But I'm like, come on, man, it's short track racing. Like if your favorite driver did that, you wouldn't have a problem with that. So it was pretty cool. So it begs the question though, like. Do you see any other Cup Series drivers, who are semi-retired, start to do this more? Is this going to become more of a trend to see them in these local late model events? Or
I
That's
can
what drivers have always
definitely.
done.
I'm
That's
sorry.
what drivers for the most part have always done. Like, this
Yeah,
isn't new.
Well,
even
I mean,
though
on a much bigger scale, though. Like, I mean, like you don't you never
It's
hear
it's
about Carl
it's a
Edwards or
it well, this is on a bigger scale because of social media and because of how big the Slinger Nationals for the most part are.
Mhm.
But I mean, drivers do this all across the country when they retire. They've done this for the longest time. I think that now we have the tools necessary with social media that we're able to actually pay attention to these
See
guys
it.
and watch.
yeah.
If Dale Jr. goes to Myrtle Beach and or wherever, if Jeff Burton goes to South Boston or if Ken Zith goes to Slinger,
I mean,
we're gonna see it now.
Yeah.
I watched Tony Stewart race a sprint car this year at the Nashville Fairgrounds. So, I mean,
I don't think this is anything new, and I just think that it's kind of like Alan Bestick was saying back in January, is that we live in one of the best times, if not the best time ever, to be a race fan. For the one sole reason is that everything is taped, everything is being filmed, and we can have an opportunity to watch all of it in one way or another. So I think that this trend is gonna grow because we have the opportunity to see it more.
and think about, we're talking about the smaller scale. We saw Greg Biffle this year. We're seeing Dale Jr. for the second year in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Yeah. Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah, it was February, but we interviewed him around January though.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah.
It was a whole
Pre-recorded
thing. So yeah, pre-recorded issue. So that's what happened. So moving on, Ross Chastain got another Xfinity win at Daytona. His thing is smashing watermelons and growing them on his farm. Well, he just dropped some brand new merch. The website is called melonmanbrand.com. Man, what a genius, man! And if you go on the website, some of the merch on there is it's pretty spectacular. I'm probably gonna get a few shirts here in the meantime after the show. Honestly, like there's some cool merch on there. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to see it, but man, Ross Chastain is just on one, man. On and off the track, man. Starting to become a fan favorite.
Now I will say this: if you've ever played the classic game Facade, be careful if you want to talk about his merch to the people in the game, like this shirt here. I love melons. Oh, sorry, you've got to go.
Yeah. Yeah, what did you say about the I love melons part?
Sounds like something someone in Club Penguin would have said.
Oh yeah. Oh damn. Took me back. Those were the days.
But anyway, it's awesome. I love the way he's marketing himself. He stands out from the crowd now, and that's what's awesome. He didn't stand out from the crowd for the most part. I mean, a lot of us always noticed him for overperforming, but now he has so many things that he stands out from. People know the personality he has. Even with the setback he had with the DC Solar fiasco, he is in for a very bright future still, I think.
Guys, good job. The chat is full of melons.
Yeah,
now.
it always is. Every time we talk about Ross, man, that's just his thing now. And oh, Jake left, but now he's back. There we go.
I pressed the wrong button. I was meaning to go through the tab.
Yeah, but I don't know. Genius marketing by him and his PR team. So looking forward to that. Jake, did you have anything to say about that?
He's just showing off. He's just doing his thing. Like, I mean, he even got recognized by Haley Deegan. I'm not sure if you got that, if you guys seen that tweet. So like, it shows that like somebody who's coming into the sport, like this big star that's coming into the sport versus like this big star that's like up and coming in the sport, like clashing against each other. It's like, it shows that like people actually like really care about this guy. And plus, actually, after like his interview, like just like the emotion that came out of him, like, oh my god, we did it! Like just seeing that, like you never see that in NASCAR anymore.
It's
I mean,
it's so refreshing, man. It's so refreshing to see.
It's so refreshing. I mean, sorry, Danny, but like Alex Bowman's like interview was so boring. I'm sorry. He didn't even look excited at all.
Yeah, we won.
You know what? I'm fine with that. But that's why he's the perfect driver for me. I'm not really an exciting guy, and neither is he.
I mean, like you never see that emotion in NASCAR anymore. It's just so refreshing to see, and we need more people like that.
Now we just need him to get a top level Cup Series ride, and then do the stuff in the Cup Series, man. Oh, it'd be amazing.
Well, let's hold off on that because I still want him to have one more good run to Xfinity Series. And you know what? I'm kind of thinking because I've been after listening to one of the top people with Colleague Racing this week on Sirius XM Radio. It kind of sounds like they may be ready for that second team next year. And
they're definitely ready.
If this is the case, I can definitely see Ross Chastain giving it everything he's got to win a championship in these motorsports, and I could definitely see him winding up with Colleague next year.
Yeah, we'll see. He's already putting together one hell of a season this year.
The way Colleague is progressing, and they've really been impressing me watching them rise up. I could actually see Colleague being the next team to jump up into the Cup Series.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. Hopefully, new teams.
They've got
the more teams,
got
the better.
funding.
Yeah, the more
They've
teams,
got
the better.
funding there.
Exactly. So it is 6:30 my time. We are 1 hour and 30 minutes into the show. Is there anything else we want to talk about, or is that's basically it?
Picks. Right? I'm wanting to talk about picks.
All right. So really quick chat. So we are going to make our picks right now, and then we will play a pre-recorded interview with Davey Siegel, one of the up-and-coming stars in the media world of NASCAR. So you guys will get to see that after we make picks. Unfortunately, we are going to Kentucky. Oh, I hope with this package it'll be a much better race, but I'm not gonna have any sort of expectations for this, and plus I'm not even gonna be able to see it. I am going to be out in at Irwindale Speedway to watch Ryan Vargas race and to hang out with Joseph Lombard and Brendan Littell. So I don't know. I hope for the most part it's exciting, but I mean I won't be surprised if it is. So who's gonna suck? Danny, you start us off.
Who is going to suck at Kentucky? Kentucky's one of those tracks that it's going to be a lot different with this new package we got, so it's going to be really hard to predict. But if I have to pick anyone who I don't see a good run coming from here, probably going to be someone. I'll just play it safe, like Bubba Wallace. Is he going to run good here? No. It's just this is a track that's going to be too hard for me to pick out who, like anyone like of the good guys who I think is going to suck here. So we're going to play it safe, Bubba Wallace.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go a little bit off on a limb, but I don't think the limb is actually that long to go off on. I see this guy. He's just been struggling the past few weeks. I mean, just race after race, having bad thing happen. Whether he's running in the top in 30th or whether he's running in the lead, but he only has one top 10 here. It was a top 5, but in all of his starts, no wins. And he's just on the backslide. I don't think it stops anytime soon. Clint Boyer, he is going to suck this week. I think he'll fall out of the top 16.
I'm going to go with to toss it between the two I have in my head right now. I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. I mean, he's been very inconsistent this season once again. Like, the only reason he's as high up as he is just because of stage points. That's it. Without stage points, Jarrett, he's where? Like, 15th? 17th? Somewhere around there.
Yeah, let me look. I keep track of the Winston Cup points. So
I'm actually on the page right now. He's 11th in points.
Yeah, and I keep track of the old Winston points just based on finishes, and he would have been like 14th.
Yeah. So it hasn't. I mean, it's been very up and down for him, and I think this week is going to be one of those down weeks. Ryan Blaney. Jake?
Jared stole mine. I was gonna say Clint Boyer, but I was just like just looking over the list, seeing like who could probably suck. I'm gonna say Paul Menard. I'm just gonna keep it safe right now because really, like, it's gonna be somebody that's like in a Ford or in a Toyota that's probably gonna be up in front. I don't think like any like this track has been primarily Ford and Toyota, so like I don't see like many Chevy drivers being out there, so I could call out like any Chevy driver, but I'm just going to say Paul Menard just to stay safe because really the good drivers are going to be the ones up front.
I agree. Underdogs. Danny?
Underdog for me is someone who was really competitive last week. We've seen him have some fairly decent runs on a lot of these mile and a halves and has gotten it done a little bit and has a lot of times where he's really didn't reflect on the kind of day he was having. Austin Dillon. I think this is going to be a good chance for him to have a good run, going off a little bit of momentum he's got. And yeah, this is going to play pretty good for Austin Dillon.
You know, I'm going to go from one legendary 7-time champion number to another. This guy is in the top 10 in points when it comes to 1.5 milers this year under this package. And he's been, him and his team as an organization have gotten better over the previous couple of weeks. My underdog pick is the 48, Jimmy Johnson. I think that he'll be right up around the top 10. And few things go his way, hey, maybe the 48 ends his winless streak.
I'm going with the 6 of Ryan Newman. He's put together a very solid season for that team inside the playoffs right now, ahead of some pretty notable guys. Daniel Suarez is currently out on the outside looking in, and even Eric Jones is as well. And I mean, both are in in top flight rides. So I don't know, Ryan Newman, man, he's been on one this year. He's had a little luck on his side this year, but it's for the most part he's been very solid. So Ryan Newman, that's my underdog pick. Go ahead, Jake.
There's always one driver that like everybody always misses out that has done like phenomenal on these 1.5 mile tracks so far. I don't think he really did much at Chicagoland, but the other 1.5 mile tracks like Charlotte and Kansas, he did great on those tracks. I'm gonna say Chris Buescher is gonna be my underdog pick here. Yes, he has shown off this year in the car that he's been racing in, which if you compare where Ryan Preece is in points, he's 26. Chris Buescher's 21st, on the verge of getting into the top 20, even on the verge of just being in the discussion of getting into the playoffs. So that's why I always say like he's has the most talent out of any driver who has like midfield equipment. So that's who I pick as my underdog.
Right on. All right, so who is going to win at Kentucky? Danny?
All right. All biases, all the memes aside, I've been saying this since the Kansas race, and obviously the way I'm stop.
Go ahead, just say it, man. We already know what it is. Like I knew it. I knew it was gonna be it.
I mean, can you fault me for
No, go ahead. Just say it. Go ahead.
Second at Kansas, similar conditions, wins Chicagoland. Why wouldn't Alex Bowman win here?
The meme. It keeps living on. Oh man, how many times have you picked him this year?
His team, when this car is on 1.5 mile at nighttime, has played so well this year. It got him his first win. Why not?
Oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that with Bubba Wallace every week, but that's yeah. Let's move on. Jarrett, go ahead.
My win pick. This will be his first win. He only has at Kentucky. He has no wins at Kentucky, I should say. He has 1 top 5, 5 top 10s, and to be completely honest, he needs redemption as the demon dog barks in the background.
I can hear it.
Anyway, Kurt Busch is gonna win. I'm gonna freaking mute it because the dog won't shut up.
That's why he keeps barking. You pick Kurt Busch. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like your pick or whatever, but. I'm going to go with a safe one here. Martin Truex Jr., the defending winner of this boring racetrack, Kentucky. Unfortunately, he seems to have this place figured out. He's won, I believe, the past 2 Kentucky races in 2017 and 2018. He's going to have a huge challenge from Keselowski, though. He also has this track figured out, and maybe even Kyle Busch as well. Maybe some surprise run might come from Jimmy Johnson or Chase Elliott or one of the Hendrick cars for the win, but in the end, it's going to be Martin Truex Jr. winning the race.
All right, so I'm gonna go off on a limb here a little bit. So, I'm looking at like who's the former winners of the Monster, like the race at Kentucky. 5 of those 8 winners have run like back-to-back like Xfinity and Monster Energy Cup Series races. Those 2, there was only 2 guys in those discussions, Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. But I say it's going to be neither of them, which is going off on a limb for me because I say Kyle Busch is going to win every single weekend. But I'm trying to be a little unbiased here, and I'm looking over the past winners of the Xfinity race here. I'm going to say this. There's one guy that has won 2 races here in the Xfinity series, and it's somebody who they said was gonna suck here, one of you guys said this guy was gonna suck. I say Ryan Blaney. I feel like he can actually come out on this track and actually perform and actually like dominate the field. So I say Ryan Blaney might actually win this race. He showed a lot that he can race this year. He just doesn't have the luck. So I feel like he can actually win this race.
He also finished runner-up last year too. Now, granted, it was by 5 seconds, but because Truex just killed everyone last year. But he still finished second though, so I'll give you that.
He led it for a little while too, if I do believe.
Yeah, there's a case. Yeah, there's a case to be made there. So, all right, well, that is our picks. I want to ask you guys: is there really anything else to go over before I play this interview? Did we miss anything? Or?
Just the interview, man.
All right.
Do want to say, beside, I was really close to picking Kyle Larson, but I'm going to go with the guy who was more consistent at these foul tracks.
He choked away the win to Bowman even in picks.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Danny. What are you doing? But anyways, so I am about to mute you guys right now, and then I will mute myself. And then after this interview, hold up, got lost there. After this interview, I will be reading the final super chats, so be on the lookout for that. Anyways, everyone, please enjoy our interview with the one and only Davey Siegel. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Darian Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter, and we are here today for a pre-recorded interview with the one and only Davey Siegel. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for that intro. Get me hyped up.
Absolutely. Now, I hope I said your name right, correct?
Yes, you did. A lot of people go with the Segal or Segal, and I'm just like, no, not related to Steven Seagal. It's just like the bird. It's a seagull. So good on you.
Yeah, I feel you on that. People always messing up my last name. All right, so let's get right into it. So the first question I have, just a basic general question. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career up to this point.
Yeah, so I'm 22. I guess at the time of recording this, I'll be 23 tomorrow. So I'm 23.
Right.
I graduated from Michigan State University in the May of 2018 with a degree in journalism. Originally from Rockville, Maryland. I just tell people Washington, D.C. because it's easier, like 25 minutes outside nation's capital. Grew up here all my life and headed over to East Lansing for college. I knew that I wanted to do something in sports and NASCAR, but I didn't really know what. I'm sure, like, as you guys know, I had the pipe dream of being a race car driver when I was younger, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a race car driver. But then as I started getting older, I started to realize that, I didn't have the funding, I didn't have the resources. Logistically, it wasn't going to work out. Didn't have support from the right people, didn't live in the right place, wasn't really willing to skip college and move down south. So that pipe dream quickly was shot down. But I always wanted to be involved somehow. My mom gave me the idea of possibly being a writer about it. So started writing for some smaller websites here and there, got to college, started doing journalism. And then I'll make a long story short. I wanted to just be like Bob Pockros, just like straight print reporter. That's it. And then I discovered radio when I was a freshman, like that. Then I discovered TV and video when I got to my sophomore and junior year, like that. Professors and peers gave me a lot of positive feedback when it came to how I was on air, whether it be on camera or on the mic. I really enjoyed it. And I started doing more and more of that. And then I ended up getting an internship at a local radio station in DC, ESPN 980. Then the next summer, I got an internship where I'm at right now, NBC Sports Washington. And after school, I was able to get back on and do some freelance work with NBCSW. And then I didn't even talk about the whole NASCAR aspect of things. So also in college, I got connected with some good people and started writing about the K&N Pro Series West for NASCAR home tracks. So that has been going on still for the last like 3-ish or so years. And I really enjoyed that. I kind of started out just doing 1 race, 2 races here and there, not really knowing anyone or anything, how anything worked. And then slowly but steady, worked up a good contact base, got to know all the people out there, got to know the protocol, logistics, how everything works. And now I'm covering both the East and the West series, every single race. I would say full time, but the position is freelance, but I'm covering the series full time. So that's kind of the long story short, even though that was kind of long, of how I got to where I am right now.
So you're saying how you're covering both the K&N East and West. I guess one question I'd like to ask, and I think a lot of people would like to know, is of some of the younger drivers coming up, who would you say is one that's being more overlooked? We see a lot of hype for Haley Deegan and some others, but who's someone who's being overlooked in your opinion?
It's a great question. I'm glad you asked that question, because a lot of people when they found out I'd cover Canada, they're like, "Oh, Haley Deegan, how's she?" or blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, like she's a really good driver, probably a top 3 driver across both series. But honestly, I think Derek Kraus is overlooked. I mean, he won this past weekend in Oregon. He led all 150 laps. He's leading the East standings. He's leading the West standings. He has 5 wins overall this year, 3 out West. He's been in K&N for 3 years. He's not even 18 years old. He's in the Toyota camp. He has a handful of truck starts. He's with the best K&N team. And for some reason, well, I guess the reason is his teammate is Haley Deegan, and that's probably the main reason. But I feel like he's being somewhat overlooked. Haley's going to be a Cup Series superstar. She's going to be a NASCAR superstar, no doubt about that. But I think Derek Kraus is going to be as well. Now, the thing is, and I mean, we know how it is in today's day and age in NASCAR, you need a few things. You need funding. You need sponsorship, which goes along with funding. You need the right support from the right people. You need good equipment, and you need to be marketable. And Haley checks all 5 of those boxes, right? Derek checks most of those boxes. I think, and I've had the privilege to know him for the better part of 3 years now. He's a funny guy. Like, for a 17, almost 18-year-old kid who, on the surface, from interviews that you've seen, he might seem a little vanilla. That's because he kind of puts on a different face for when he's in front of the camera or when he's being recorded. I'm telling you guys, like, when you're just shooting the crap, pardon my French, with him, like, he's a funny guy. So I think if he's able to kind of let loose a little bit and show the NASCAR fans who he really is behind the camera, I guess, that would kind of shoot him up in some people's minds. So I would go with Derek Kraus as one of those people. And then another guy that I would say is Cody Vanderwall. He's drives the 43 for Levine Racing in the K&N West Series. He hasn't been in the best equipment his entire career, but I think he's one of those guys that kind of saw with Alex Bowman this weekend, paid your dues, really good race car driver, finally gotten good equipment, and after a little bit of time, a lot of second-place finishes, finally broke through for that win. Now, Cody has 2 wins. He won back-to-back races last year at Tucson, but something's just always told me that Cody's got a lot of talent. He's also under 20 years old, and he's never really had that opportunity to be in top-tier equipment at the K&N level. But I think if you were to throw Cody in a BMR or a Sunrise car or even a DGR car out east for maybe 2-3 weeks at a time, I think he'd be right up front challenging for wins right away.
So you said you cover both the K&N East and West series. So I want to ask you this: out of both of those series, who do you feel in both of those series has the most potential to become a Cup Series superstar out of both the East and West?
I'd probably say Haley, just because of the reasons that we talked about. In this day and age in NASCAR, you can be good, and that's fine and dandy, but in order to take you to the next level and to be that superstar, you need to have certain things going for you. She's very personable. She's funny. She's extremely marketable. And I'll get to the elephant in the room. She's a female. There's not a lot of females in NASCAR nowadays. Natalie Decker's made a handful of truck starts. We've seen how that's worked out. Not good at all. Leilani Munter, she's been in ARCA too. Danica, we know how the Danica experiment and kind of situation worked out at SHR. Like, Danica is a very good race car driver. She is a below average NASCAR driver. IndyCar, she was great. She has a background in open wheels. That's what she grew up doing. That's what she did for the majority of her career. She got rushed up the NASCAR ladder in stock car world, in my opinion. And I think it showed in the Cup Series. And she was with one of the top premier teams, and she struggled to run 20th every week. Haley, I think, is different because she has been running full-bodied stock cars her entire life. She's under 20 years old, so this is extremely early, but it's not like she's going to be transitioning from karting or from open wheel to stock cars. Like, this is what she has done. She's done off-road stuff in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series. She knows how this game works because Brian Deegan, X Games legend, is her father. She's used to being in the spotlight from a very young age. I mean, she's 17 years old and she almost has 500,000 Instagram followers. Like, her little brother has more than that, and her dad is a legend. Darren, you've been to some of these K&N races. Like, you see the autograph sessions that are on the front stretch. There's a line for almost every driver, but then Haley is the entire front stretch. So she's already built up a huge fan following. And oh, by the way, she's really damn good at driving race cars. Like, that was a thing that I thought when she kind of busted into the series is, all right, cool. Nice girl, very marketable. We'll see if she can do anything. And I was worried that she was going to be the Danica type or the Natalie Decker type who comes with funding. And again, great girl, great person, but can't get it done. But so far, Haley has gotten it done. And we've seen that she will do anything to get it done. All 3 of her wins have come on last lap passes and included some form or fashion of contact. Take that as it will, I guess. But I think that just shows that she's really not here to take anybody's crap, which I can respect being around her each and every day. But I will say that she does have a lot of respect of people in the K&N garage and in NASCAR overall. So in terms of the East and West, and if I had to tell you one driver right now competing in the series that is going to be a Cup superstar one day, and maybe, I'm going to say maybe because I don't want to put myself in a position here, but maybe transcend the sport back into, how Jeff Gordon did it back in the 90s, Haley Deegan could be that person.
So you have a lot different perspective, I guess, on the K&N series than a lot of other people, especially in the media, do. In your opinion, how could the major broadcasting networks and major personalities sort of show a better light of these younger drivers and show them more in the spotlight so that fans can see the future of the sport coming up?
It's a really good question. I think one thing that is hard to do logistically and financially, and I mean, I work for NBC, so like obviously I want it to happen, but if these races could somehow, some way be broadcasted live, I think that would do a lot for it. Now, fanschoice.tv, obviously having the streaming service live, that has done tenfold to the following and the appreciation of the K&N Pro Series. But there's still that group of people that don't really know that exists and don't really know how it works. And they say, oh, it's streaming, I got to pay for it, whatever. When the fact is that you don't have to pay for it, but that's a whole different thing. I think that if these races somehow could be broadcast live on television, that would, people would be surfing the channels and they'd be watching NASCAR programming during the week and they'd see on NASCAR America, oh, K&N's going to be on Saturday afternoon, or, oh, K&N's going to be on Friday night, instead of, watching the replay of the race 4 days later when pretty much everybody and their mother knows what happened. Now, I'm glad that they have broadcasting rights at all, and I'm extremely glad that Fans Choice has that. But to answer your question, I would say a way that they could go about it would to be follow along more, because there's a lot that me personally I'm doing to try to tell the stories of these drivers. There's at least 1 or 2 features every week on NASCARHometracks.com, profiling different drivers, their crew chiefs, crew members, personalities of the series. But also, if you're in the area and K&N is around you, like it's going to sound like a company guy promoting your local short track, but you should do it, because I grew up in the Metro DC area and there's nothing around me. Like the closest track to here is my high school track. So like there's no real local short tracks around me. And I didn't really get that base when I was growing up of having a local short track to go to, but going around the country on the East and the West Coast and seeing that there are a ton, and I mean a ton of local short tracks in all these different areas. You talk about from Virginia to 20 minutes outside of Los Angeles. Like there's a lot of racing going on in the United States. I think people just need to be able to seek it out a little more. And after they seek it out, act on it and actually go. And the tickets are going to be what, $15-20? So go. I mean, it's not that hard to get into the garage or the pits and get access to these drivers and talk with them. Like they're not Cup drivers where they have PR to go through and they're on a strict schedule. No, like these drivers, they have nothing to do but drive. Like they're not going to turn a fan away or anything. So I think that'd be something that I would encourage fans to do if they want to get into NASCAR more and want to have more personable relationships with the drivers. Just seek out your local short tracks and go. And just, read and watch and listen to as much as you can. Like on my podcast, I talk about K&N every single week, and I got audio from all the drivers that, were at the race that past weekend. So I would say, follow them on Twitter, see what they're doing. A lot of them are really funny. They're teenagers that are living teenage lives and just happen to drive race cars every other week or so. So there's a bunch of things that can be done, but logistically and financially, I know a bunch of different companies and people here and there are strained with that. But I would just encourage them to read, watch, and listen to as much as they can, and they can form their own opinions from that.
It's funny, I was just about to ask about your podcast. You just brought it up. Sort of talk about your podcast for a moment, what you cover, what it's about, and who your guests typically are.
For sure, yeah. I mean, obviously not as great as this podcast, right? But it's called Victory Lane. I kind of call it Victory Lane 2.0 because in college I started it up at the radio station at MSU and it was called Victory Lane. But reborn, Victory Lane 2.0. You can find it on all major podcasting platforms. But it's cool. I enjoy doing it. It's mostly just me sitting on my couch talking to myself, which is kind of awkward. But I'm sure, as you guys know, like podcasting is not that easy. You gotta put a lot of prep into it. Like each episode, I probably put hour or two of prep into it, and that's on top of working my 3 jobs. So I like to say that I grind for my listeners, even though I have like 5 or 6 of them. But it's cool. Like I enjoy it. As much as I can get to the racetrack and score one-on-one interviews with drivers, whether that's in the National Series or K&N, when I have the time to, I try to ask thoughtful, provoking questions to these drivers and put their interviews on there. You know, recap the K&N race every week, and like I mentioned, have audio clips from them. And there's no real other media that is at K&N races, so that's kind of the only time you'll hear these drivers is on my podcast. And I also talk about the Cup, Xfinity, and Truck weekends as well. As you guys could probably tell, I'm not really like a buttoned up guy. I like to keep it loose, keep it fun, keep it relaxed. So that's kind of what my podcast is as well. I think you guys probably know Heather DeBow. She works with PRN and does NBCSN television stuff. It was funny. Like the other day I was recording my podcast late because I got home from Sonoma a day late and I was just really tired. And I was, you know what? I didn't really have any mistakes. I won't edit this. I won't edit this too much. And she texted me and she goes, "Were you yawning during your podcast?" I was like, "Oh my God, could you tell?" She was like, "Yeah, it was super noticeable." So then I went back and I listened to it and it was super noticeable. I was like, why did I not cut that out? I was like, oh my God. But yeah, so you can check that out. I hope if you guys decide to check it out, I hope you enjoy it. And who knows, maybe I'll have guests and listeners on. I've done that in the past. I really don't care. I want to have all fans, forms, and fashions on there. So it's cool.
Well, you know, you're talking about the prep just before your podcasts, and on top of that, with what you do at the tracks and covering the K&N series, there's a lot of people that watch us, a lot of younger fans who want to get into media someday and maybe start their own podcast. What would you say would be a good way for preparation before a show, coverage, whatever it may be, and what do you usually, I guess, do for preparation?
Listen, watch, read. As much as you can, as often as you can. Doesn't matter what it is, but do it. My phone's in the other room, but I think I've listened to 15 NASCAR podcasts like every week or something. I'm that freak that listens to it on 1.5 speed so I can get through all of it. But I listen to an extensive amount of NASCAR podcasts just so I can see, you know, who's talking about what, how they're talking about it, why they're talking about it. And then, you know, that way I can listen to different interviews. And that way, if I can possibly score an interview with X driver, I can listen to that or go back and listen to it and think, oh, I remember he or she talked about this or talked about that. I want them to expand on that, get some more. There's so many talented reporters, radio hosts, journalists that are in the NASCAR realm that write, talk, and appear on television every single day, every single week. That it gets a lot sometimes to try to consume all of it, but I highly encourage everybody that wants to try to make a career out of this thing to do that as much as possible, because you could read something from, you know, Bob or Jeff Gluck that are kind of like the 1A, 1B. I kind of consider them as like NASCAR media moguls, right? And you can watch a segment from, you know, Marty Snyder or Nate Ryan on NASCAR America or something like that. But a podcast that you guys do, or that I do, or that Joe Schmo in Iowa does, could be just as impactful and hold just as much information, and that opinion that person has could change your thinking on a subject just as much as one of those other quote unquote media moguls. So I highly encourage people to just watch as much as they can, because you never really know what you might think and see going away from something like that.
Absolutely. So social media has really grown your platform, especially on Twitter. I've seen your platform grow on there. As you see from my Twitter feed, I sometimes get heavily criticized, whether it's deserved or just constructive. I want to ask, do you receive any of that? And if so, how do you deal with that?
You gotta stop putting curses on people. I think that's why everybody's just hating on you, Darren. But,
no, it's more than that.
Honestly, I've kind of been surprised. Like, I have really not received that much negative criticism on social media. I've also kind of like transformed how I do it. If you go to my profile and you look at how many tweets I have, it's over 100,000. But that's because I went through this weird phase in high school where my Twitter name is @Davey Center. And I went through this weird phase where I decided, you know what? I'm going to wake up. I'm going to tweet every single sports result from the night before. Football games, basketball games, hockey game, baseball games, soccer games. I'm just going to tweet every single result and statistics on it because you know what? That's what people need from me because they don't even have ESPN or Fox or CBS or NBC. Like that's how much of an idiot I was. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, but for some reason I did. So I went from tweeting like all the time about all sports and constantly about NASCAR to differentiating myself in that respect and being like, all right, well, what can I do differently that makes me stand out against the rest? So here's my thinking on it. Like when I'm at a K&N race, I have duties for my job, obviously, but when I'm at like a cup race, let's say, why would I tweet lap by lap updates when one, people are watching on TV or listening on the radio? Two, there's probably 5 to 10 other media members that are sitting right next to me that are doing the same thing that have 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 100 times the following that I have when the people are getting that same information. Like, why not differentiate myself? So, like, something that I've tried to do is tweet less. And now it's kind of just become a part of my routine. Like, before, I was like, if I would be at lunch with somebody, I'd be like, oh, I haven't tweeted today. Like, what can I say? What should I do? But now it's one of those things where it's like, do I have anything to say? Do I have like a picture or a video that like will get engagement with people? Like, if I don't do anything. So mostly my Twitter is just straight NASCAR stuff, some Michigan State in there, some other, sports in there. Woj was dropping some bombs yesterday. So I was like, damn, so much going on. But yeah, social media is like, it's really interesting because it has its positives and negatives, right? I'm sure you guys both probably get a ton of hate, but for all the hate, you probably get 3 or 4 times more positive.
Mostly positive, yeah. I'd say the hate is about a good 5% of what we get on a daily basis.
Right, yeah. So it has its positives and negatives, but I've enjoyed it just to kind of see how it's grown. And I think NASCAR was kind of one of the first sports to embrace social media. Like the reason that I got a Twitter account in the first place in like 2007 or I was too early, never mind. 2013, 12, whatever it was because Kevin Harvick was one of the first guys to adopt Twitter. And I was his #1 fan at that point. Now, like being a media member, I've kind of went from fan mode to media mode, which is, by the way, the hardest thing I've ever done. But I got a Twitter account just to follow along with him and his wife, Delana, like what they were saying. And then fast forward all these years, and here I am not being Davey Center tweeting 20,000 sports scores at once. But yeah, social media is weird. I'm like starting to get into Instagram now too. I'm trying to be artsy, but I'm not really that artsy, so I don't know. But and my Snapchat name is also still HarvickNut29, and I can't change that. I've asked Snapchat like 20,000 times, like, hey, is there any way that you can change your username? And they always say, no, you have to make a new account, which is so dumb, by the way. Like, I just want to change it. But yeah, all right, that's my soapbox. I'll get off my soapbox. Yeah, social media, it's good, it's bad, mostly good.
So when you were talking about that, you're saying that hard part is going from fan mode to media mode.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta ask, at some point during that transition, was there ever a time you got starstruck with somebody and you just snapped out of media mode or anything like that, or vice versa, I guess, in some sort of way?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, actually, yes. I remember I think last year at Las Vegas, the second Las Vegas race, I want to say maybe, I had a one-on-one interview with Bubba Wallace, and I was sitting outside of his hauler waiting for him to be ready, and they were like, you can just take a seat on the chair. I was like, okay. And Richard Petty came and sat next to me. And I was like,
That's awesome.
I literally was like, I like did a double take. I straight up was like, what? Like, are you serious? And I looked at Bubba's PR. I was like, I like pointed to him. I was like, it's Richard Petty with the, like, what? And I was freaking out. And it was funny too, because me and him have the same birthday, which is tomorrow, ironically.
Wow.
So it was like really funny because I was starstruck that it was Richard Petty. And then at the same time, I was like, okay, keep it cool. Don't freak out. And I was talking to Richard Petty. And he had like a big lip in or something. And I was like, hey, July 2nd is a really good birthday. And he's really hard of hearing. He's like, what? What'd you say, boy? I was like, July 2nd, great day. He's like, oh, yeah, that's a good day. And I was like, wow, I just talked to Richard Petty about our birthday. That's insane. And then I did the interview with Bubba, and I like told him before off mic, I was like, I just talked to your boss. That was insane. He was like, yeah, he's a cool guy. And I was like, wow, like this is my life now. So that was insanely cool.
That's awesome. So for the final question of mine, what is the end game for you? I know you're just covering the K&N series right now, but eventually in the upcoming years, what do you want to be doing? Do you want to be covering the Cup Series full time, or maybe sticking with like one of the lower series and just making a career covering that?
If I could just take your guys' job, I think that'd probably be the pinnacle of my career.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no,
Very much.
the way that I've kind of like told this to people, and they always ask me is, they're like, well, what do you want to do? It's a mix of a couple things, and I'm sure you guys know both of these people, so I'll just say it. Like a Nate Ryan type, who is an exceptional writer, but also has his own NASCAR podcast that's very big in the NASCAR realm, and he also has a presence on television. Marty Smith, who obviously used to cover NASCAR on a full-time basis, but now ESPN got him doing a whole mumbo-jumbo hodgepodge of stuff. And also, like, the way I tell people, and they always get like, uh-oh, but I tell them to let me finish, is I say, I want to be the Stephen A. Smith of NASCAR. Yep. And that's when they go, uh-oh. And I'm like, no, wait, like, hold on, hear me out. I say that because he has an extensive background in newspaper reporting. That's why he's so good with words and has all these different vocabulary in his mind. So he started out as a print reporter, as a writer. He has his own radio show, and he has a presence on television. In theory, like in a perfect world, that would be my end goal, or to be the Stephen A. Smith minus the Stephen A-ness of him, of NASCAR. If I could some way have a platform to write, maybe not every day, but maybe once a week or maybe once a month whenever I'm feeling like it, a platform to write, a platform to talk on the radio or in podcast form, and a platform to be on camera, on television, talking about NASCAR, that would kind of be the goal. And I say Marty Smith too, because he's a guy that I admire because he doesn't really hide his personality. And I'm sure your listeners can probably gather from now, I don't really hide mine either. I just like really respect what he does and how he handles himself and conducts himself. And Nate Ryan too, because he's kind of the opposite. He does not show his personality at all. And I haven't been fortunate enough to kind of sit down with Nate and talk about his career and everything, but I really respect what he does because he's like triple dipping, kind of like me, you know, writing, radio, and television. So if I could get there somehow, some way, and emulate either all three of those guys or one of those guys in some form or fashion, that'd be pretty damn cool.
Going off talking about Stephen A. Smith and personalities, and in a lot of stick and ball sports, no matter where you look, there's a lot of personalities in media. There's Stephen A. Smith, you know, on mainstream, and then you look on YouTube, and there's guys like 5 Points and Urinating Tree. I guess, in your opinion, you know, being in the media, what would you say is the importance for NASCAR of having not only personalities in the driver's seat, but also covering it in the media too?
People won't be interested in rain delay coverage like we saw yesterday unless you have personalities that are on camera that can get the personalities out of the drivers, right? So I'm trying to think of an example of somebody that's like very even, like there's not really anybody in NASCAR like media, I think, and that this is also because I'm friends with a lot of them that are very like vanilla, you know. But it would just be interesting to see like Nate Ryan. He does not do pit reporting because one, he doesn't want to. Two, he's very traditional in the terms of journalism. Like he's a print guy. He's really good with words. That's what he does. He does some reporting from the garage. Like when Fox had the races earlier this year, you guys saw Bob Pockrass' stand-ups like before the race, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they were funny because they were cringeworthy because Bob and everybody who knows Bob knows that he's terrible at television, but he got better at it, and that comes with practice. And I even talked to him too. I was like, "Hey, dude, like really nice job the other day," and I was being genuine. He was like, "Yeah, it's so bad, like it's awful." but that's another thing. Like he's been tenured so long that all the drivers know him. All the drivers mess around with him and joke with him. So I guarantee you, if you gave Bob a mic and you put a camera in front of his face and had him interview, maybe not Clint, because Clint would be crazy anyway, but if you had him interview like William Byron or like Alex Bowman. That's not a good example either because they're young. Okay, Kevin Harvick, right? Let's say you had Bob interview Kevin Harvick, who isn't super like funny and open in his interviews all the time. He's always super thoughtful and very generous with his time most of the time. I guarantee if you put Bob in front of him, Kevin will be like, "Hey Bob, what are you doing here? Hey Bob, did you ever like see this? Blah blah blah." It's about relationships. Like it's always about relationships, and that's why with the NASCAR home track stuff, what we used to do with whoever was fastest in practice qualifying in the race, I would just shove a camera in front of their face and ask them a question and then tweet that. But now we've started to make it more like an actual interview. So I got a mic and I'm actually asking them questions because I have relationships with all these drivers. And even though it's a little thing, drivers are more comfortable. People in general are more comfortable talking to somebody rather than to something. It makes it more personable. So I guess to answer your question, Jared, it's important for NASCAR and the networks associated with it. Obviously, I'm biased. Shout out to NBC. But it's important for these networks and radio stations as well, and everybody who is associated with it to have personalities and media members that, first and foremost, are really good at what they do, but also not far behind, I think, is to be fun, engaging personalities. To kind of circle back to the other question you asked me, Darian, Rutledge Wood is someone that I also like really look up to and try to emulate a little bit because he's just the most fun guy like I've ever seen at a racetrack. So it's very important, and I think that's something that might go unnoticed to the casual viewer because the hardcore guys like us, we're in it every single day. We watch everything all the time, so we know all the media personalities and whatnot. But if you're a fan that's turning on TV for the first time and it just happens to be when they're going through the field or when they're doing a pit report pre-race, like what is going to jump out at you and make you want to keep watching when you're watching one of those reporters? You have to strike a balance between professionalism and also having fun and making it seem like you're having a good time, which, trust me, a lot of the time when I'm at these races covering them, I'm not having a good time because I'm stressed out of my mind and I'm sleep deprived and I'm starving and I'm thirsty. But big picture, looking at it from like a 30,000 foot view, this is fun, dude. Like I get paid to travel around the country and cover NASCAR and build relationships with these drivers that will hopefully be working their way up through the ranks as I will too.
That's great to hear. Well, we don't want to take up too much of your time left. Appreciate you coming on, Davey. Any final thoughts? And also, if you want to give out where people can find you on social media, you can do so as well.
Yeah, for sure. Twitter, as I stated, I do not tweet all these sports scores anymore, so I will not be a bad follow, I promise. At Davey Center, Davey Center. I'm not going to spell center. You people are smart. I also have a Facebook page where I post like all my videos and some articles as well. You just search Davey Siegel on Facebook. And then my Instagram is Davey_the_man with 2 N's because that's my middle name. I'm not self-centered. _4 because if you heard what I talked about earlier, you'll understand the 4. So that's where you can follow me on various social media platforms. Just want to thank you guys for letting me come on again. I know this has been kind of like a long thing in the works and I've had to switch it around with timing and whatnot, but appreciate you guys working me in and having me on. It's been fun.
Thank you, man. Yeah, absolutely, man. Loved having you on. That was Dave Siegel, everyone. By the time this interview airs, it'll be his, what is it, your 23rd birthday, you said?
Jordan year.
Oh, yeah, 23rd. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, happy 23rd birthday to Davey. And now, back to the show. And everyone, that was Davey Siegel right there. One of the best interviews we've done. It was fun talking with him, huh, Jarrett?
Oh yeah. He was. It was just a lot of. It felt natural. I guess that's where I had the most fun with. I felt like I could just sit and talk with him. It wasn't one of those interviews where I'm like, okay, what do I ask next? It's like, oh, it flowed.
Yeah, it flowed right there. Yeah, it was pretty cool. We also saw some people in the chat. My mom was in the chat talking with you guys, and also, what's his name? Scrap in the chat.
Scrap.
I don't know. Like, I can't tell if he's BSing us because we just saw your channel, man. You do play some NASCAR stuff, so I don't know if you're BSing us or just trolling. Huh?
I said it's fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. Yeah, so please.
If it is a troll, you're not being obnoxious with it, so we appreciate that.
Yeah,
It's good. It's
yeah,
good.
we appreciate that. Make sure to subscribe to all 4 of our channels. Love see? Yeah, see?
We caught him.
I caught him.
You got me.
Yeah, see, I knew it. Yeah, see, I knew it.
You made it fun though, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Really cool.
diehard UK
It
NASCAR
does sound
fan.
like he is in the
Atta
United Kingdom,
boy.
so hey, we appreciate that.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, man. All the way from the United Kingdom. That is awesome. So
Hey,
to end
come
the
to Bristol.
yeah,
Come to Bristol,
Bristol,
if you're
man.
going to a race, man.
Yeah, all the
We'll all be
YouTubers. Yeah, we're gonna be at Bristol 2019, this coming August in 34 days, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
34. Well, 34 until the Wednesday that we'll have a special podcast.
Yeah, so then-
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Could
gonna
you
be-
recommend a first race to attend in real life? There we go. We just said it.
Yep, there you go, man. All right, so
Come
really,
and join us.
Yeah, so really quick to end off the stream, let me read some final super chats here. Carl Singleton with 3, one of them being, I will binge watch all of HSM if Ross Chastain wins a championship this year. HSM, what is HSM again?
I've heard this a bunch, but I can't remember what it is.
What is it, chat?
Super chat.
Yeah, help us, chat. What is HSM? What is that?
Yeah.
Help us. We're waiting. All right,
Just-
yeah, I'll keep going. As we're waiting on that, another one, he says NASCAR does not need to be like IndyCar or F1. They need to have their own brand. I agree.
High School Musical.
Yep.
Oh, high school. Oh, high school. Duh, that's right. Yeah, duh. Oh my god.
Did it really called HSM?
I feel so stupid. I've never really seen that abbreviated before. So yeah. Oh well. And then the next one, the last one, stay off the weed. Stephen A. Smith. Yes, what he's best known for. And we got 2 more here. Big Blue Attack. Can NASCAR get a deal like IndyCar with one channel? And also, Robert is driving the pace car for the next IndyCar race at Toronto. Oh, Robert Wickens. Yeah, that's right. He is going to be back in the car again. That's
That's
feel-good story
right.
there.
Nice.
That's going to be cool. As far as the first part to the question, one channel. I mean, I don't know, Jared. That's intriguing. I mean, isn't that less money though?
I guess it all just depends on how you go about it, for the most part.
If one channel is willing to pay for the next TV deal, like sort of put up close to the same amount we have right now, then I'm all for it. Then why not?
Yeah.
Maybe like if they start like something up like the NFL Network or like what MLB or NHL do, then maybe they could do something like that.
Yeah,
We
maybe.
should have never lost the Speed Network. It would have been fine with it.
Exactly.
I miss Speed. I miss Speed so much, man. And the last one from the one and only Blue Jimmy 48 fan says, great podcast. Tonight is going to be real fun, and I can't wait to battle you guys on the track. I'm really going to try not to gloat. LMAO. He's very good. He's very good at Heat 3. The Core Series is doing a little exhibition race, the Stonehead 400 at Fontana, a full-length 400-mile race, 200 laps at Fontana. So it's not going to be on the Core channel, but each of us will be streaming our points of view, our perspectives. So be sure to tune into that. And we got the $10 one right as I'm about to say.
Right at the end.
Food on
at
the table.
end. Yes. Benjamin, what's up, man? $10, appreciate it. If anyone is at the track this weekend, come say hi. I'm a working media member for my site. I am. Go say hi to Benjamin, man. That'd be cool.
That is
For sure.
awesome, Benjamin. Yeah. I've decided this. If for any reason, because I was going to be working this Sunday, now I'm off. If for any weird reason, because I can't go Saturday, if for any weird reason it decides it's going to rain all day Saturday, I'm going to go up on it Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, just go drive up
You
there.
should.
It's Kentucky, so it's definitely not sold out. Well, it's a NASCAR track, so it's not sold out nowadays. So just saying, I don't know. The truth hurts, man. But that'll be a good time if that happens. So that'll do it for another edition of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Any announcements though before we head out, Jared?
Yeah, who we got on next week? I know it's on my channel. Who we got on?
Oh, well, we got up-and-coming driver C.J. McLaughlin. You have heard of him in the Arcus series and the Truck series. Next weekend, he will be making his very first Xfinity Series debut at New Hampshire, I believe is the track. So that'd be cool to see. One more super chat, Carl Singleton. Darian, as a 2000s kid, you should be ashamed. Wait, for what? Oh, the high school thing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, we never see
Well, to
like
be fair,
HSM.
To be fair, that was a high school chick flick, so.
Yeah. Well, no, I saw the movie when I was little, but like I've never seen the abbreviated part, HSM. I didn't like.
I think we all seen that movie. We just a simple day, just sitting in school, just a movie day. You've seen it.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. I haven't.
I didn't know the lyrics though. I wasn't that into it.
I've never sat down and watched it. I just obviously I knew of it, but I never watched it.
Well, there you go. Do a stream there. Jared's gonna do 50 Shades of Grey. You're gonna do High School Musical. There you go.
Or we can all just watch it when we actually meet each other.
We watch it at Bristol.
No, I'm not wasting a night on that.
Anyway. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so.
All right, so that'll do it. So a special thanks to both our guests. First off, to Davey Siegel. Appreciate him doing the interview with us, and also Jake Baskinger, man. Where can people find you on YouTube and Twitter?
So on YouTube, it's just simply my name, Jake Baskinger. If you guys remember me as Mr. Cowbush 1, you guys are the true legends here. Yep. I just wanted to go more professional with that. And then all my social medias, Instagram and Twitter, all at jbaskinger41. Simple as that. You could probably find me like in the Twitter. It's the same thing on Instagram. Go follow me on Instagram. I gotta start posting more over there. Gotta start building that up a little bit. So close to 1,000 followers over there. So we're growing here.
Oh yeah, definitely making some progress. And again, we will be on Jared's channel next week with our special guest, current ARCA Series driver and soon to be Xfinity Series driver, CJ McLaughlin. So that'll be a good time.
And maybe a special guest in Eric Eastep. We haven't seen him on the show in a while.
Oh yeah, that's right. Eric Eastep is back. Yeah, so technically he'll count as a special guest, I guess, since we haven't had him.
I was kind of disappointed I didn't get to see him tonight.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll get to see him next week. Just not on here. But
I'll be able to get to see him at Bristol. I'll be able to look up at him.
Yeah, definitely gotta take a picture side by side.
Yes, we need to.
That thing is gonna look like this. Like he's gonna be all over.
We're gonna be doing the whole singular raising the bar thing. So
yeah, we're all gonna get on the line, and someone's gonna.
So I'm just gonna be all the way at the end and just looking up at everybody.
Side by side.
There you go.
There anyway, you go. Appreciate Jake being a good sport on that. So yeah. So again, I'm about to meet you guys, and that'll do it for another edition of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast on Black Flags Matter. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.
Green flag, green flag. I'll roll.